We're live. We're live. ABCOMNXYZ98. You're the first one here. I'm just gonna let our Telegram group know that we just went live. That's what I'm gonna do. That's what I'm gonna do. Going live. Well, I'm live. Live on YouTube. Cool. Yeah, I don't know how to there's literally no place for me to copy the link. I don't even know if I just literally copy the exact link maybe from this URL, but there should be a place for me to let me see. What's going on, guys? Come in when you're coming in here. Why don't you give the video a like as well? What's going on, guys? What's going on, guys? Give the video a like as you come in. Taj Sidhu, what's going on? Taj, what's up, Taj? What's going on, Taj? Carson, what's up, dude? What's up, Carson? Carson, good to see you. Cigar, what's going on? I'm gonna experiment. I'm gonna put the link in our Telegram group, and we're gonna see if this works. Because I said I was if that link works for live stream. I just put a link in the Telegram group. I'm gonna see. Hopefully that works. We'll just see. That's what we're gonna do. Live on YouTube. What's going on, guys? All right. Let me actually address you guys because you're here. Give the video a like if you're coming in, guys. Give the video a like. Give the video a like. Nakia, Cigar, what's going on, dude? Nakia, what's up? Nakia, what are you up to? Judson, hello, sir. Good evening. What's going on, Judson? What are you up to? How should a dentist prepare for CBSE from scratch? You're already off to the races with heavy duty fucking niche fucking questions, right? It's because I do have dental students, yes. I just prepare them exactly the same as step one. That's how I prepare students, right off the bat. That's what I do. You got to just go through, UWorld for step one, and or Amboss for step one, and obviously NBME's 20 through 30. That's what you're going to be doing. Let me see. Sold Neil exam 4 days. Feel like shit isn't normal. Yeah, it's going to feel like that, right? I mean, how you feel is irrelevant. Okay, that's obviously important to remember. How you feel is irrelevant. You just objectively have to have your NBME scores, right? That's the whole idea. So as long as you're doing well in the NBMEs, I don't really give a fuck how you feel. That subjectivity aspect doesn't matter. Nakia, hope you're good. Good to see you. Ayad, not first. Sure, you're not first. Miriam Paso, hello. What's going on, Miriam? Nassim Syed, hello. What's going on, Nassim? Yazid, hey, Dr. Mike, how are you? Hope you're doing good. Thanks, Yazid. What's going on? Gayla, what's up? HUD, good to see you back. Your charted PDFs are amazing. When will you do the others in chart format? I'll get there. I said I will get there. I said I'll get there. I just have no fucking interest right now in doing that, but I will eventually do that. Brown, hi Mike, what's going on, Brown? Div, okay, I'm 1 minute late. Div, yeah, you've been pretty good as far as getting in early to live streams. HUD, when will you doing the path PDF? No fucking interest. I have the path PDF. I have a path PDF written on my desktop right now, 10 plus pages. I could easily post a path PDF, but I just don't really want to. But that's becoming that's now defining 2023 from my end as a content creator. Is that I'm gonna look back at this year as the most annoying fucking year in terms of people. I'll be that was the year when people didn't shut the fuck up about the path PDF, me putting something out about that. That's literally become a defining fucking quotidian, a daily fucking annoying question that people ask me. We're in a twilight zone, round and round we go. That doesn't stop. And when I eventually put out the path PDF, it'll be strictly for that, so that people just stop fucking asking me. And people will still ask me. They'll be like, "Where's the path PDF?" Dima, how you going, Dima? What's going on? Krishna, sir, 1.5 months left my exam. I read your all your PDFs. I did 4 MBME scores, 68 to 70. It's decent. What should I do in this final month? Or in this month, I also do audio cubing. Well, you're 1.5 months out. You did 4 NBMEs. I don't know why you did NBMEs so early. Guys, give the video a like if you're coming in here. Help drive the algorithm up. Get people here. So please give the video a like. The live stream a like. But you shouldn't touch, guys, you shouldn't touch NBMEs till your final month and 4 days. I've said that. Okay, so if you're between 6 and 4 weeks out, you should basically still be on QBank at this point. Okay, 6 to 4 weeks out, you should be on QBank still and my PDFs. HUD, are your PDFs sufficient to get 260 plus on step 2? I mean, in terms of reading material, yes, but you have to do the NBMEs, the CMS forms twice. You have to do a QBank. So you're not going to just go off of reading material. You would never do that. Taj, make a question clip in Japanese, JK. I could. You'd think like when you put out like creative shit or like something different, people would like that necessarily. It's not really. I was putting out like the past like several days, I've been putting out like sci-fi posts on Instagram, and they've had like the worst engagement imaginable. Like 4 likes, 3 likes for like a post. Like, so I'm just like, well, I'm not going to put out any more of this. It's not about, I mean, like I put out content. It's like why, people complain that like social is toxic. It's like, well, no fucking shit. Because if you give a post a like when it has like, someone with their shirt off or something, versus like someone puts out content they think is interesting to them. They're like, I'm interested in like plants. I'm interested in like planting or something. And they're going to put out pictures of like plants that they like, no fucking engagement. And they stop putting it up. And then I'm just like, well, I like sci-fi stuff. I'm going to put out like some sci-fi content, no fucking engagement. So I'm like, well, I'm going to kill my channel, right? I think it already like fucked my algorithm up for the Instagram because I put up a live, my IG live that I did like a few hours ago, and the natural like views on that, the organic views were lower because my sci-fi clips leading up to it were like shitty engagement. And I think Instagram interpreted that as like show his future content to fewer people because his content recently has been shit. That's literally what's fucking happened. So like, even if you say just continue putting up sci-fi content, even if it's just like, even if it gets shitty engagement, no worries. It's you. Be unique to yourself. Like, it's okay to get shitty engagement. You're right. I don't give a fuck. I'll get like 7 likes. It's just, it kills the fucking, like it kills things going forward. So the whole Japanese thing, it's like, I could do that, but Dima, hey Mike, you say 2 days per NBME. It's like first day exam, 1 block review, and second day 3 blocks review. No. When I say 2 days per NBME, you're going to do the entire NBME on 1 day, all 4 blocks in a row, as though you're like, yes, you're sitting the whole thing. Then when you're done, you're going to review it. And you might only finish, let's say, 2 blocks of review on the first day. And then the second day, the review spills over and you finish review of blocks 3 and 4. That's how it'll be for a lot of you guys because you're scoring shitty. You're going to be getting a lot wrong. You have a lot to review. If you're scoring very high, you're getting like 8 wrong, then you're not going to have to do that, right? You can get the whole review done on 1 day, right? Huh. AR, love your skin. Any tips for skincare? I mean, it's also a daily question, right? I've said I use vitamin E oil on my skin before bed. I've been doing that since I'm 36. I've been doing that since I was 23. So if we sleep 6 to 8 hours of our lives, a quarter to a third of our lives, that means the past 13 years, I've had vitamin E oil on my face for 3 to 4 years. You can't get the running. It can't. If it's a bad oil, it's gonna have low viscosity, like a baby oil. Avoid that. Real vitamin E oil is thick like molasses. It's like goop, and you just put that shit on your face. I put that on my face before bed, and then I don't sleep on my side or anything like that. Like I sleep on my back so it stays on my face. And then I get up and I wipe that shit off my face. I know this is like a TM, it's almost like a TMI. It's like too much information kind of thing, but it's like people ask me every fucking day about my skin. I mean, aren't I flattered? But you can't get high on your own supply because all I have to do is scroll down further in the live stream and someone will be like, "You're cringe," or "You look gay," or like, "What happened to your face?" Or, you know, so you got to be neutral in terms of how you interpret all these things. It's like, I don't give a fuck. I'm just saying. It's like, that's the situation. He's vitamin E oil. And I don't smoke. If you smoke, you're fucked. Don't smoke. Bad fucking idea. Dima, another question. Start a review of your PDFs. They're great. The structure of each of them is most to less high yield or by some special order question mark. No, they're just the PDFs are just you're gonna go through them. All the content's high yield within them. Nasan Yo Mike, how you doing? Good to see you, Nasan. Marian Paso, 68.5% and maybe 20. Good. Should I continue with 21? Yes, you will. Examine 1 month. I've said you're going to convert all your NBMEs to 3-digit scores. That's what I want you to do. So I want you to go on Google Images, not Google Images. You're going to type in NVMe 20 score conversion Reddit, and you're going to get the best fit line equation from NVMe 20, and you're going to plug your number of wrongs into X. The Y will be your 3-digit score. 197 is pass equivalent for step 1. We want 205, 210 plus ideally before you sit. But I've talked about this a lot in my live streams that when you finish all of QBank and you do your first NBME about a month out, which is NBME 20, we're giving you 2 days to do it. When you get your 3-digit score equivalent, if you get a 190 or higher, I allow you to progress to Form 21. If you get a 189 or lower, you're going to go back to QBank for an entire month and do incorrects. Or you can switch it up, go to Amboss or something. Okay, or vice versa, depending on which QBank you did. I said Amboss and Gold are non-superior to each other. So you can go to 21 and it's going to be the same deal. If you get a 189 or lower, back to QBank. 190 or higher, you can proceed to 22. Now, notice I just fucking said that 197 is the pass equivalent internal for step 1. So you say, well, I don't get it. Why are you saying 189 all of a sudden? It's because I allow a quote unquote minor fail, a mild fail, 190 to 196. I allow you to, on 2021 only, I allow you to proceed to the next NBMEs. Okay. Sometimes you can have a shitty data point, but it's like I give students a chance. I say, you finished QBank, great. We got to get you into the NBMEs. Your exam's a month out. Let's see how 20 and 21 go. And if they can get like 195, 196, and they're failing, which isn't good. But I say, look, we can use this month, study fucking hard. You're going to review the NBMEs hard, and your scores are going to go up. But if you're like 189 or lower, I'm like, no, your foundation's still too weak. I want you going back to QBank. But once we go to NBME 22, I now set the bar at 197. You have to pass all the NBMEs 22 and higher now. You have to. Then when you get to around 27, 28, I want to see scores at 205, 210 plus. I don't want you going in. I want that buffer. I don't want you going into the exam where you're getting like a 199 equivalent on an NBME. We don't want to cut it close. We don't want a YOLO going in. If you've taken a fail on an NBME in the final month, I will postpone the student an entire fucking month and have them do more QBank. And I understand some students will say, well, I can't postpone. Like I can't, I have to sit the exam. I say, okay, well, it's risky. And by all means, many students will progress to the NBMEs and they'll take it and they'll pass. But I'm talking about like for my students, where my responsibility is like making sure people don't fucking fail, I like to see a buffer. Okay. So it's about which is a shittier situation that like you're inconvenienced, right? You're going to be inconvenienced that you have to delay because your scores weren't good. You're going to delay, but you take it a month later and you're going to pass now. Or it's a shittier situation that you take it now, you YOLO, and you don't pass. I don't like that. Okay. I don't like that. So 22 onward, we need a 197 plus, and then around NBMEs 27, 28 upward. If you're not getting 205, 210 plus the NBMEs, We have to think about kind of stopping you at 27, stopping you at 28, saying we're going to save 29 through 31 now. We're going to go back to QBank for an entire fucking month. Then do your incorrects as an example. Then we're going to revisit NBME 29 through 31, and you'll be getting like a 214, 219 equivalent, whatever, and you're good to sit. That's what I want to see. So if a student doesn't want to postpone, if you're like, fuck you, I don't want to postpone, that sounds terrible. I don't want to postpone a month. My advice is I agree with you. So do well in the NBMEs and you don't have to postpone. That's how I incentivize students. I say, like, well, the alternative is shitty. I know you don't want to postpone. Cigar Patel, can we do what? I don't know what that's asking. I don't know what you're asking. Something in Japan. I don't know what you're asking, Cigar Patel. Don't use dumb acronyms. Actually, like, ask a question. Brown. It's almost like a pompous thing in medicine. Like, people use like acronyms and like expect other people to just automatically know what they mean, right? Brown, how do we get the offline NBMEs? They're in our Telegram group, the group files. HUD, if I want to rewrite your PDFs in a good looking book, is it okay? The answer is absolutely not. People like have asked me that and even sent me DMs where they take my PDFs and assemble them. No, it's not okay to do that. But I appreciate you checking in with me as the content creator before you manipulate my content, right? I don't assemble the PDFs as some like compendium or tome because I don't see that as the best way to present the information. It's not an ego thing. If I want to be like, I'm so amazing, sure, I can assemble all the PDFs together as like a 1700 page Torah, Quran, Bible and be like, I'm so amazing. I made this book. But I don't see that as approachable, right? What's more affable? What's more like tangible in terms of you being able to study? Knocking out a subject by PDF, be like, boom, I finished renal, this little booklet, this PDF, boom, I finished it, I feel good. Or here's this fucking massive, like 1700 page book or whatever, and Mike Mehlman made it because he's so amazing. I don't see that as the best way to digest material. Some people have FAs sitting on their fucking shelf or on their desk and they're like paralyzed. You know, like they don't know how to even like approach it because they just open it and it's just so much. So I don't want that. It's not difficult for me to fucking make a book. Trust me. If it's about ego, I can make a book. Scorpio 327. What conditions do you see adnexa, and what does it mean? Well, adnexa just refers to a combination of fallopian tubes and ovaries, right? So like an adnexectomy is like an oophorectomy plus salpingectomy. Salping means like fallopian tube. Oof is like, you know, like eggs, like ovaries. You could have like adnexal and obsgyn. I mean, funnily enough, I just had I had 3 students before this live session. The last one was 2CK obsgyn student. And we were discussing adnexal torsion versus ruptured cyst, right? But I mean, you're talking torsion would be intermittent pain. In 4 out of 5 questions, it's intermittent adnexal pain that becomes constant over hours to weeks. It doesn't matter. The time frames differ. I've seen questions where it's hours. I've seen questions where it's weeks. You know, and then they'll say there's a large adnexal mass, like 8 by 12 centimeters. You're like, holy shit, that's like big. And then there's no mention of fluid in the cul-de-sac, which is pouch of Douglas. Coldocentesis means aspiration of fluid from the pouch of Douglas. That's torsion. And you can just do a laparoscopic detorsion as the management. But ruptured cyst is going to be sharp adnexal pain, no mass, and they'll say that there's 10 to 15 milliliters of serosanguineous fluid on coldocentesis. And you can just observe patients stable. You give like NSAIDs. That's like fine. That's like, you just asked about adnexa, right? Adnexa. Also endometriosis versus primary dysmenorrhea. So you talk about period pain, right? Just normal period pain in a young woman is going to be primary dysmenorrhea, which refers to PGF2 alpha prostaglandin hypersecretion. That's normal. That's just period pain. No abnormalities in physical exam. You just treat with NSAIDs. However, if they give you, that could be a 17-year-old, for example, but if they give you, like, let's say a 23-year-old, it's going to be 20 and over for endometriosis. They give you the same fucking question, just bad period pain. And they say that there's some sort of abnormality on physical exam, nodularity of the uterosacral ligaments, adnexal nodularity, right? Retroverted uterus with nodularity. It's not something you have to memorize, just anything abnormal. That's endometriosis. So you do diagnostic laparoscopy for that. That's also definitive, right? You're asked about adnexa and like PID as well. So cervical motion tenderness, that's very buzzy for PID. Adnexal tenderness, depending on the extent of it. And of course, adnexal scarring, scarring of the fallopian tubes causing ectopic pregnancy, PID. I mean, what is this, an obsgyne session now? But I mean, I don't really know what to say. Student fucking asked, right? So, I mean, what do you want me to say? I mean, Nassan, Instagram only rewards certain content, if you know what I mean. Well, as I just fucking said, I put up some sci-fi content, which I thought was interesting for me, and then people didn't fucking like it. I mean, I'm not butthurt. I don't give a fuck. Don't like my shit. Great. But I'm just saying, like, people wonder why these platforms are toxic. People wonder why you fucking sign on to the platform and without your fucking consent, you just see like fucking dancing people with like fucking abs and shit. And you're like, what the fuck? You're like, I don't like that stuff. Like, why would I ever like someone else's content with that? Like, and that's just like the stuff that's like fed to you. People wonder why that's like the fucking toxin that they're exposed to. It's because you guys fucking reward that shit. I post something sci-fi, it's like 4 fucking likes in like 7 hours, like laughable. So it's like, okay, I'm not going to post more sci-fi. It's not about me. Div, maybe post sci-fi on Threads. It's a good idea. It's actually a very smart idea. I do still have to download Threads. Guys wondering what Threads is. It's like the new Meta launch of a Twitter competitor. Talked about it yesterday in the live stream. Bassam, hey Ghazi, hey Dr. Mike, I got a 194 on NBME 27 2 weeks ago and a 204. Guys, give the video a like if you're coming in here. Got a 194 on NBME 7 2 weeks ago, 204 on NBME 26 yesterday. And thinking about taking the exam in August. What do you think I should do till the exam? Well, your 204 is obviously good for NBME 26. Your 194 is not good. What I would do is take NBMEs, start with 20. So I said you should be doing 20 to 31, right? So you got to just go back. You're going to do 20 and you're going to do exactly what I just said prior in this live stream. You're going to do 20, 21, see how those go and just progress upward. And as long as you're getting 205, 210 plus, you're good to sit. The NBMEs don't lie. Okay. So if you're getting 205, 210 plus, you're good to sit. The 194, obviously not good. We can't ignore it. We can't ignore the 194. But it's not like we have like only 1 or 2 NBMEs remaining. We have plenty of NBMEs remaining for you to do. So you'll do those and then see how they go. Right? You have Freddie and Mustafa who both retracted their messages. That's right, guys. You retract your fucking messages. Someone left a super chat. Let me see. Nakia, thanks for the super chat. Appreciate it. All right, so I'm going to address your question, Nakia, because you're a member and you just dropped a super chat. Let's see. What did you ask? Mike, should I go ahead and schedule the exam after someone just dropped a fucking massive super chat? Well, I'm still going to address your question, Nakia. Mike, should I go ahead and schedule the exam after finishing QBank or see how I do in the NBMEs? I have 30 days left to complete UWorld, getting around 70%. I know you don't care about that. Just saying. When you say 30 days left to complete UWorld, are you saying your exam is in 30 days or are you saying, I'm confused as to what you're asking right now? Let me see. What I've said is I ideally want you to finish all of QBank, and then when you're done with all of QBank, you're going to spend a month going through NBMEs 20 through 31 and Free 120. So if it's a scenario where, for example, your exam is in a month from now, and you're not done with, you said you're only 70% done with you, or you said you're getting around 70% correct. If you have, the point is, if you haven't finished all of UWorld and your exam's in a month and you can't move your test, QBank stops instantaneously and you go to the NBME exams. That's if you can't move your exam. If you can move your exam without any issues, you're going to postpone so you can finish all of QBank. Then you're going to do a month for the NBMEs. That's what I want. But remember, NBMEs take priority over QBank. So if you're forced, you're going to do NBMEs over that. Leavja Koka, thanks for your super chat. Leavja, if you drop a question, I'll answer it ahead of other people because you dropped the super chat. Nakia, you said I haven't scheduled the exam yet. Want your thoughts on when I should pay to schedule the exam? I just fucking said that you need a month for the NBMEs. So you got to make sure you have that month. And then I want you to be done with UWorld as well. So you got to make sure you can do all that. That's what you got to do. Not hard. Okay, I'm going to scroll back up. Livja, if you have a question, I'll scroll back down and see. If you don't have a question, that's okay, dude, but I will scroll back down because that was generous, your super chat. So if you have a question, I'll scroll down and answer it. Dima, when we review NBME, how do we, when we do NBMEs, we do only the wrongs question mark. For me personally, it's hard to go over 100 explanations in depth per day. The NBME, I don't give a fuck about the explanations on the NBMEs. I don't care about that. You just have to know why you got a question wrong. And depending on how much you invest into each of the answer choices is a gray area. I've said this before that if they're high yield differentials, like idiopathic pulmonary fibrosis versus COPD, right? Like you should know the differences. Cor pulmonale, like you should know what these conditions mean. But if you get a question where it's like weird fucking enzymes, I don't give a fuck. And you can bypass a lot of those incorrect answer choices. But in terms of the actual explanations that NBME writes in the blue, the navy text under the actual questions, I don't give a fuck. Okay. I don't care. I just want you memorizing the NBMEs. You need to memorize the NBME exams. Guys, give the video a like if you're coming in here. And if you're not subscribed to my channel, please subscribe. Mustafa Muhammad, hi Mike. Yeah, Mustafa, you retracted your prior message and then you rewrote it. King Bear 97. Hi Mike, is there value in going through NBMEs 1 through 4 for TCK, assuming we have gone through 6 through 14 already? The answer is it doesn't matter. People ask the different variations of this question. In other words, some students say, what about old free 120? We do the new one. What about old free 120? What about NBME 19 or 18? Why are you saying 20 through 31? So it's not that you can't do those things. You can. It's just what's practical, right? So I see 6 through 14 as sufficient because 6 through, obviously 9 through 14 are aligned. 6 through 8 were the latest batch that were together. Actually, that's not true. 8 came later. Doesn't fucking matter. Okay. 4 is older. The point is, I see it as sufficient. Okay. 6 through 14, the same way I see 20 through 31 as sufficient. You can go back earlier if you really want to earlier forms. I just don't see it as mandatory. That's all. And you're going to be doing all the CMS forms twice for CK. That's a lot of content, right? So you can if you want, but I just don't see it as mandatory. Real Medic Minute. Hey, hope you're good. I'm a final year med student. I get a lot of Q's wrong and find the questions difficult. Should I spend more time? Laughable, bro. Laughable how that ended as a cuck question. Should I spend more time on X cuck resource? The answer is no. I mean, do I need to give oxygen to that? Just insert the blank with like any random cuck resource. It's like, should I do like, the answer is no. What you're going to be doing, you say you're getting a lot of questions wrong. You got to fucking handle it. I mean, you got to go through QBank and just deal with it, right? You got to deal with it. You got to go through QBank. It's like someone saying, um, I'm trying to lose weight, but I find cardio difficult. Like, I find like walking on the treadmill, running on the treadmill difficult. I find swimming difficult. Like, you got to handle it. You know what I'm saying? You got to just fucking do it. You get a lot of cues wrong. You got to read the questions. You got to like develop a skill. It's a skill. How to interpret questions, not choosing dumb answers. Common things are common. Going with your gut, right? When you don't know an answer and when you're not sure, I said there's two main tips. I've tipped two tips slash tricks. Holy shit. When you don't know an answer and you choose maybe an answer that you think is right, but you don't know, you're not sure, don't change your fucking answer. Okay? So if you're reading the question, you're like, maybe it's sickle cell, not sure. You choose it, flag it, maybe come back to it, and then you're like, ooh, thalassemia, wrong fucking answer. The second is don't choose weird sounding shit. Okay, sometimes the answer really is just asthma, not bronchiolitis obliterans organizing pneumonia. Asthma. And that actually was advice given to me prior to my step one back in 2012. Like one of my friends back in the day on some old forum that I used to be on. And he said that to me. That was his advice. He was like, I see you posting on this forum a lot, and like, I feel like you're going to get questions wrong because you overthink. And he goes, my biggest advice to you is like, sometimes the answer really is just asthma, not bronchoalveolar carcinoma, asthma. And that got me a question right on my real step one. You need to know that Cryptosporidium parvum has acid fast cysts. So when you hear acid fast, you think about TB, right? Like mycobacterium. But you need to know that Cryptosporidium parvum, watery diarrhea, self-limiting and immunocompetent, can be chronic and immunocompromised, such as HIV. True with nitazoxanide or supportive care. It's acid fast cysts on a smear on light microscopy. Blue background, red cysts. But so is another weird fucking organism called Isospora belli. And that's like a situation. It's like, you see the question and then sometimes the answer really is just Cryptosporidium parvum. Not Isospora belli, Cryptosporidium parvum. And I chose Cryptosporidium parvum. But that got me a question right because I thought about it. I was like, sometimes the answer really is just asthma, not bronchoalveolar carcinoma, asthma. That's a huge fucking tip. Because I see students get questions wrong. Like when I do questions with them during my sessions and stuff, like it's a very like common observation. That when people don't know, they choose weird fucking shit. And I'm like, have you ever fucking heard of that in your entire life? No. Why'd you fucking choose it? I don't know. That's like in the simulation, that like sequence that I just said is like that's like a quotidian, like daily thing for me. Like that, like in that sequence is like for some reason, I don't know if it's like an intron or exon sequence or something, like how it fucking like, I don't know why it occurs like that, but it does all the fucking time. Ryan Appalayan. Well, someone just dropped a super chat. AP Sans, thanks, dude. I spend this every day at Starbucks. You deserve it more. $5. Can $5 even get you a coffee at Starbucks anymore? You get like a short size, right? No, that would get me a coffee because I don't like, I wouldn't order like Frappuccino stuff. Like I wouldn't get sweet stuff. I would get like just a coffee. That's what I would get. It'd be nice to get like a Frappuccino or something. Tastes good, yeah. But like, I don't need the sugar. The matcha lattes here in Japan, I don't know if they have them in the United States. maybe that's just a Japan thing. I feel like they would have matcha latte in the United States. I feel like that'd be popular in the United States, but it's like sweet. It's too sweet. I don't like it at Starbucks. They have to load it up with sugar because people can't fucking like. People are like weak. People are weak. They can't handle fucking things that are not sweet. This isn't sweet enough. This is like not comfortable to drink. I just had for this live stream, I just had a matcha, a koi matcha, like actual fucking matcha. I didn't do the screenshot to the Instagram story this time, but like you're talking like, bitter fucking high antioxidant matcha powder with a tiny bit of water and you whisk it and then you drink it and it's like difficult to drink. It's bitter. But it's about like, you know, the only people who can't handle matcha, if someone can't handle drinking something like matcha, uh, he or she is weak. Certain things are about like, it's like I just remark because it's like you want to get something simple like a matcha latte, and it's like just absolutely disgusting because it's like loaded with sugar because you got 95+% of the population that's mentally weak, and they're still like a child. A child like needs sweet things. Their palate hasn't evolved yet, and then you have adults who are the same fucking way who are like I still need like a sweet things. It's how Americans are. It's how Western countries are. Like a lot of people. Australia was like that as well. Just like every fucking drink they have is loaded with sugar. Japan's better though. All the vending machines here have green tea, black tea, mugi cha, different types of tea. They're unsweetened, which is good. Something as simple as that. Decrease diabetes in the population. Um, how's that for like a tangential monologue, right? It's like instead of answering med questions, right? Talk about like matcha, fucking sugar, and all that stuff for like 10 minutes. That's a good one, right? Um, Ryan, hi Mike. Started to study again after I failed my step one. Should I still continue doing Anki on missed questions and Mimi's 20 to 30? Do you roll incorrect corrects question mark? Which I've answered your fucking question in my prior live streams. I don't know if you like exited my live streams or something before you heard me. But I've said that um, the fact that you failed your step one, yes, I'd want you back on QBank for sure. I definitely would want you back on QBank for at least a month. And then you're going to spend another month doing NBMEs 20 through 31, not 30, 20, 31, and free 120. And you're going to do free 120 prior to NBME 25. So 20 through 24, free 120, and then 25, 31. Give the video a like, guys, if you're coming to the live stream. Give the video a like. Sub to my channel if you haven't already. Kanye, if I could tattoo the time to hesitate has ceased, time to hesitate onto my brain, that'd be nice. I mean, it's true. It's noob level stuff. It's noob level stuff. What Kanye is referring to is that when I was 22 and living in Boston, I talked about this. I had written about this at one point, unrelated to med, but like when I was 22 and living in Boston, one of my friends who was 27, he and I were at some bar, and they were like, we were standing, and there was like two cute girls or whatever, and then we're just like looking at them. This was back when I was like more beta, and he just basically he turned to me, he just said to me, he's like, the time to hesitate has ceased. And then we just like walked up and talked to them. But that was like something that was like, that's notable. So for guys who have like trouble introducing themselves, like they might, they're at a cafe or they see some cute girl, somewhere, and they want to say hi and they're scared. It's like jumping into a pool, you count to 3 and you're like, it's gonna be cold, but you on 3, you just fucking jump. That's something a guy can say to himself. He can just say the time to hesitate has ceased, and then there's no fuck. He just has to do it. You have to jump into the fucking pool and deal with it, And then you walk up to the chick, you say hi, and then she rejects you. It's like, no problem, you handled it. But that's what I said. That's what augments your confidence level and not neediness as a male, is being able to handle no's. That's what masculinizes the male behavior, is repetitive no's. Ryan Abokel. Hi, Mike. I only passed step one, my second attempt. Is there something other than getting a high score on step two that I need to do in order to secure a residency position, in your opinion? I'm an IMG, by the way. It's pretty much just your numbers. Okay. Your TCK is going to be like 90 to 95%, 90 plus percent of your application. Your class rank also is the other thing that's important. That's like pretty much it. We talk about like research and, that's if you're applying to a very top institution. Um, and then, of course, your letters are going to matter, right? In terms of if there's someone on a committee, but none of that will circumvent shitty numbers. So you might have like a good connection in place, but if you don't have the numbers first, they're not even going to look at that. There's probably very sequential in terms of what they do. Do they meet our numbers threshold? If no, we don't even look at the rest of it. Abcom says your streams keep buffering, man. It's not It's not on my fucking end. It's on your end. My Wi-Fi is fucking lightning fast here. My Wi-Fi is lightning fast where I am. Lightning fast. When I have like Skype, when I have any type of video chatting with students, if there's an issue, it's always on the student's fucking end. I'm like, your Wi-Fi fucking sucks. Mine is good. Lightning fast, my Wi-Fi. I'm on the top floor of a building, a new building, and it's so there's no interference anywhere, and it's fast Wi-Fi. AR, why did you quit medicine? You would be such an awesome doc. Imagine a beauty with brains. I said I have no interest in that. Did we do a life story right now? I know some of you guys don't want that. You don't need Mike's fucking story hour. I get it. But I'm just saying, like, yes, I didn't have interest in that. But I do USMLE stuff. But yes, I graduated. Abcom 98. Am I you just once again you're saying, am I the only one seeing this stream is buffering? It's your fucking end. Get your Wi-Fi sorted. Mustafa. Mohammed, I was accepted for Masters of Public Health in the UK, but I want to go through my USMLE preparation. But friends keep telling me that the Masters will make me more competitive for top programs. Laughable. MPH isn't going to do jack fucking shit. There's actually stats. This isn't my pontification either. There's actually stats. Like you can look at like the NRMP match data. And they'll have information as far as like, percentage that have a PhD. They don't have information for MPH. They have percentage that have a PhD. And it like doesn't change matching stats. It like doesn't. Like you'd think, oh, is it like double chance if I have a PhD? Shouldn't that be worth a lot? Holy shit. They like don't care. Maybe if you're literally applying to like, a very, very top institution where it's heavily focused on research, then it helps. But like the notion of like they're going to give a fuck about your MPH, not really. Not really. It's more just like, I think it's just self-decorating. The notion of like when you're younger and you're going through degree programs and you want to get letters after your name type of thing. Like they don't really give. You're like, I'm going to be an MD, MPH. Holy shit. They don't really care. I mean, like it's just your numbers. To put things in sharp perspective, okay, if you have like a 256 on step 2 and no MPH, no master's degree, you'll get in over someone who has a 242 who has an MPH. Just put it that way. It's like that for research. It's like that for volunteer activities, like jobs you've had, like you could have been a medic in fucking like, Africa for a couple of years, written your personal statement about it, got a letter from someone, like, they don't even care. It's just your numbers. Veracity. Hey, Mike, step 2 CK next Wednesday. Finished UWorld, all NBME 6014, old Fru 120, finishing up second pass CMS forms, scores in 230s, 240s. What else to go over in the last few days? Next Wednesday. Pretty much, I mean, you're talking like not that many days, like 5-ish days. Here it's Saturday in Japan already. But you just need to be focusing on the NBMEs late. That's all it is. You're just doing final NBME review. It's literally nothing beyond that. Doc Hajar, is it normal to feel that NBME questions are easier than UWorld? That is correct. They are easier. Is it true? Question mark. Or just I'm missing something. Your opinion about this point, please? Question mark. I think NBMEs are easier than UWorld. That's what I think. I think QBank plays gotcha more. I think QBank plays gotcha. So NBME questions, you'll get left field ones, but overall they tend to be straightforward. So that if you do QBank late going into your exam, not only are you going to not have all the NBME assessments, which are going to increase your scores, but you're going to have a propensity to overthink because you're used to UWorld playing tricks or Amboss playing tricks, being very nitpicky. But some NBME questions aren't like that. NBME questions are easier. Rayhan, you say I'm first. Miss me? Question mark. Let's see. Rayhan, you're not. Yeah, laughable. That's so funny. Rayhan, you're like 30th. Nakia. I don't know if you're still in the chat, but that percentage on UWorld is not a troll report either. You're 70% working full time and trying to study. I'm busting my ass. It's not troll. Like 70 is good, but it's not like crazy high either. Like if you're getting like 84% in UWorld and you're like worried, that's a troll. Sarish Abdul Basit, hello. I score way better on NBME than I do on UWorld. Mixed, unseen. For example, 14, 15, 10 wrongs on NBME 6, 7, 8, respectively, but on 70% on UWorld. Why is this? Should I be concerned about it? 14, 15, 10 wrong. I mean, those are obviously high scores. 70% on UWorld. I care about your NBMEs. I don't care about your UWorld percentage. That does seem like a discrepancy. If you're getting 14, 15, 10 wrong, you should be getting like over 80% on UWorld. But UWorld, I remember UWorld for step 2 was harder than like UWorld for step 1 when I did it. I do remember that. But I don't care about your UWorld scores ultimately. It's the NBMEs. So if you're getting good scores on the NBMEs, that's all that matters. VSG. I failed step 1 December 2022. Was the likelihood of matching as an IMG? You can still match, but obviously not a good situation, right? You gotta pass step 1. You gotta get a good score in 2CK. I'd even consider taking step 3. And then you can't have entitlement. You got to apply broadly to many different locations. You got to apply to transitional and preliminary years as well. That's what you have to do. Not just 4-year categorical programs, but preliminary / transition years. Livja, don't have any questions. And thanks again for your super chat. Don't have any questions for now. Just super appreciative of all the free stuff you put out there. It's changed everything. And it's pronounced like Livia. Got it. Thanks, Livia. Ali Safizadeh. When are you coming to Dubai? Should I go to Dubai? What's for me in Dubai? What should I do in Dubai? I don't know anything about Dubai apart from that. It's very, very, very like, and I could just be, speculating, right? But that it's about like high-end brands pretty much. You got to have your fucking Lamborghini and your Louis Vuitton and right? Isn't that like the whole culture there? It's all about money. It's all about the cash. Right? Got to have the cash if you want to make it in Dubai, right? I don't know if my lifestyle would like would jive with Dubai. Would dovetail with Dubai. I'd probably get put in like a prison or something for like, saying hi to some chick. You said hi to a female, she's married, and now you can spend like, 18 months in prison or whatever. I mean, like, I don't know what their fucking rules would be, right? AP Sans. Well, working full time is not ideal when you're studying for step one or two. It's like studying for USMLE is a full time job. So it's a bad idea to be studying um, and trying to manage a full time job. Like if you have kids, that's completely different. You know, you're trying to like support kids, you're trying to like support a family. Like there's life can get in the way of USMLE study. You know, you got to balance all that. It's easier being in your 20s when you're studying for USMLE, but I have students who are like, you know, got full-time jobs, kids. I've had students like in their 50s, literally. And, you know, you're trying to balance two full-time jobs at the same time. It's not ideal. Where's Vishnu? Vishnu, should I get some US clinical experience and do the step two in like 9 months or just concentrate on step two for 5 months? I mean, just recognize Vishnu, the most important thing is getting a high 2CK score. And I said this before, you can have a good fucking like letter or something, but if you're going to end up with a 244 versus like a 259, you need the 259. The score matters way more for the 2CK. That's what matters way more. So I'd rather have you fucking ace 2CK than get some bullshit US clinical experience that no one gives a fuck about. And then you get your like, you know, your 246, which is a big difference from a 259. Abcom 98. So you're basically saying that I should just go into UWorld guns blazing without first building foundational knowledge from God. Like, what is with those cuck like questions at the end? Laughable, bro. I'm gonna make this more broad for other people here. The notion of like needing to read slash prep, quote unquote, to prepare you for QBank is not a good idea. You're just going to go guns out blazing into QBank. Correct. Okay. What you mean to be asking Abcom 98 is, do you need to prep for QBank doing my PDFs first or my YouTube MCQs first? Like, should you read my PDFs for like a month before you start QBank? The answer is no. You're going to be doing them at the same time. That's what you're going to be doing. Rohula Mohammadi. Good to see you back. Hey, Dr. Mike, I'm studying FA, UWorld, your PDFs. Is it enough for first step? How many times have you been in this live stream and you're asking that first aid at this point? I've seen you like 12 times in my live streams. And I've said like every fucking live stream that like you don't need to do FA. You know, people are caught in like 2016. Things evolve fast. It's like trying to say like, you know, just like things evolve quickly. You know, and you still have like bad advice out there. Mustafa, hey Mike, I'm struggling to hit 40 questions per day because I haven't taken any pathology microfarm. Should I just go through the questions or actually spend some time to learn the content? The answer is you're just gonna go through the questions. Guys, give the video a like if you're in the live stream. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. If you're in this live stream, you're not subscribed to my channel, you're a fucking asshole. You need to hit 40 questions per day, Mustafa. Minimum. 40 to 80 per day. Minimum. Okay? Maximum 80, 40 minimum. So you need to get over this OCD of like, you feel like you don't know enough, you're not remembering enough, or like you're not able to move on. You got to like get over that. That's part of the study process. Recognize that, guys. Part of the study process is like being able to move on, even if you don't feel like you know enough. That's like, you got to be able to do that. If I have a student, nevertheless, I've said the first way we can help you get through the quota is doing blocks of 10. I've talked about this a lot. So 4 blocks of 10 untimed tutor random is what you can do. If a student still can't get through blocks of 10, then over time, I'll just force the student to do 40 questions in timed mode as one block, which is not fun to do, and I don't recommend it. But if the student's not getting the quota done, I just say, no, we're switching you to timed 40 questions. And I say, they say, well, I can only get through like 25 explanations. I'm like, tough luck. Because at some point there's accountability. At some point you just say, well, you're not efficient. It's your problem. Yes, you fucking suck. You don't know how to study. It's a skill. Okay, you have to like develop. There's accountability at the end of the day. So getting through fewer questions, but you learn the material more deeply. It's not getting a score augmentation. This is actually good advice for you guys. Your score augmentation on the USMLE is more a game of width over depth in terms of content. That's what it is. Okay. So, and when I say that, some of you will be like, wait, what do you mean? You just said like 40 to 80 per day. Are you saying like I should do 80 per day? No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying like width over depth, with 40 being like the minimum is acceptable. Some students will literally do like 10 fucking questions or like 20 fucking questions, like deeply. And that sounds like, you say, really? That's not uncommon. I have students who like can't get through 20, 30. Like you got to get to 40. Okay. Not more than 80 though, because then you're not going to read. AP Sans and Americana. An Americano is $4. Crazy. Yeah. I mean, inflation has occurred. Yes. Inflation has occurred. A lot, like stuff just costs a lot now. Yep. We're feeling inflation. For sure. In Japan, we're feeling it now too. You just say it first. You're like, why is everything so expensive? Like, why not just food, but you're like, why is this like stupid fucking like bracelet so much? Why is this like just all I got was like a fucking like wooden box for like my watches or something. It was like $300. I said in a live stream that I paid like $200 for like a wooden box for my watches. I like double checked. It was like $300. That's like absurd. Like for a fucking box to hold watches, $300. Like that's laughable. And then so it transitions from like, holy shit, everything's so expensive, until you finally realize it's because the value of the currency is decreasing. That's why. That's inflation. Just say, wow, I guess my money isn't worth this amount of money isn't worth what it used to be. I've said this before. Like, I'm 36. A lot of you guys are like 20s. So it's like, I know it sounds a little bit like weird, but I'm not kidding right now. When I was like growing up in New York, this isn't a joke. Okay. It's not like an exaggeration or a troll. When I was growing up in New York and I was in like middle school, high school, we would like order a pizza for delivery and it would come to the door. It would be $9.99 and we'd give like a $2 tip. That is not an exaggeration. This isn't like, oh, okay, it was actually 15. No, 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 no. It was like we get our cheese pizza for $9.99, and then you tip the dude fucking $2 or $3. Like $2 was like an okay tip. $3 was like a good tip. Now you order a fucking pizza, it's like what, like $25? I don't know. Like, I mean, you're talking like the nature of, or the notion of getting like a pizza for like, I would expect to pay like at least like $20, pretty much. You go to actual New York City and you go to like some small business somewhere, I'm sure there's those pockets where you can get cheap fucking pizza somewhere. But you're talking the vast majority of like, you go to like a Sabaros or you go to like most places, you're paying like a lot of fucking money for dumb shit. Sejal Kadwani, can a person increase by 17 points in comp exam for step 1 in a month? The answer is yes, but you just have to make sure you study the NBMEs really fucking well. Amina Razak, struggling with retention. When I read a topic and solve your arrows for those particular questions, comma, I get everything correct, but after some days, my brain just doesn't remember. The toxic cycle doesn't end. Well, I've said it's normal to remember, forget, remember, forget. That oscillatory process is normal. 2 Barbarossa 2. What is a good plan of attack to start studying for the family medicine shelf exam? You're going to do all the family medicine questions in UWorld or AMBOSS. You can also do the ambulatory questions. Holy shit. Some students have like said that they've done those and those have helped for family medicine. You're going to do the 3 clinical mastery series forms for family medicine, which isn't a lot. I don't know why it's underrepresented, but you're going to do those 3 forms twice. You're going to do my high yield family medicine PDF. You're going to do my high yield risk factors PDF. My high yield risk factors PDF is basically like a family medicine 2.0. Some students want to use that for step one. It's perfectly fine. But I write in the preface, the paragraph, the intro paragraph, that PDF, I write, this is a 2CK tilt PDF, right? Don't I have a preface in my PDFs where I say the purpose isn't to be a 700-page superfluous neuroanatomical atlas, right? So it's like I have a preface, and in the preface, I write, that's a 2CK tilt PDF. But some students like obsess over this notion of risk factors for step one. And it's like you can do the PDF for step one, but for family medicine, it's extremely ace. It's like a 2.0. Junlie, have you heard of elliptocytosis? I've heard of it, but it's like clearly fucking low yield. Oswanth. Hi, how are you? Dima. On the exam, each Q is the same points, or hard Qs are more or less points, question mark. The calculations marked. No, all the questions are worth the same. June Lee. I saw repeat images from NBME's 29 to 31 on my Real Deal. Yep. What have I fucking said, guys, for a long time? People are like astonished. Like I've said for years that the NBME questions repeat on the Real Deal. Repeat images with different stems, just repeat questions straight up. Old NBME questions repeating on the new NBME questions. The new NBME questions repeating on the New Deal or on the Real Deal. I said that in 2012 when I sat my step one. The same fucking anatomy questions I had on my Real Deal are the same ones that are on offline NBME 24. Verbatim. And I did NBME 3 online back in the day. So, I mean, the questions repeat. There's even comp exams people have done, like NBME proctored comp exams. Like during COVID, when you had some students sitting, they were able to sit the comp at home, and they had to do like some sort of like have a camera set up so that I don't know, some ostensible proctoring where it was like as though they weren't cheating. But I mean, there were students who screenshotted the comps, and I've looked at those comp questions, and they're repeated. The questions are repeated on the NBMEs. So even the comp exams are the questions repeat on the NBMEs, which repeat on the Real Deal. The question pool is all the same. They're all the same questions. And then people are like, "Are you sure the questions are the same? Are you sure?" It's like, I'm fucking sure. And then you get people who are like, "Don't memorize the NBMEs. That's bad." It's not fucking bad. It's bad fucking advice to say don't memorize the NBMEs. It's like, it's the Real Deal. Ayesha, Taha, good to see you too. Ayesha, 2CK 25th July, 243 on NBME 8 today. UWSA 1, 240. CMS forms, you've done 40 of them, 8 to 11 wrong on average, aiming for 260. Suggestions, laughable. That's like the troll question right now. Your exam's on the 25th. You gotta just continue reviewing the NBME content. 6 through 14. That's what you gotta do. Sejal, is it possible that you just fucking asked that? Oswald, do you know about? No, you asked about this the other day. You asked about some Indian examination. I don't know about that Indian examination. VSG, thank you so much for taking the time to answer, and thank you for your PDFs. Ali, can IMGs enter medical residency in Japan? Be exceedingly difficult. You'd have to be deeply, deeply fluent in Japanese and also understand the culture here. Even if you were 100% like deeply fluent with no issues whatsoever, Japan is like really fucking conservative and like cliquey, very niche. I don't know why anyone would want to practice medicine in Japan, truthfully. The hours are absurdly long, and like you'd have to really like want to. I don't know. I've been in Japan 7 years. I'm a permanent resident now. But like when you first move here, when you're like you move anywhere, you're like, oh, it'd be cool to like do X. But then, like, if you actually like get into a position where that could be a reality or like consider that type of thing, it's vastly different. Vastly different. And you're just like, well, no, I wouldn't do that. Nokia. Yeah, life happens, you know. It is tough for sure, but it is what it is if you want it right. If I want it right, but still working in medicine helps. Mike's plan and Tetrad makes it more manageable. It will happen. Moomal Rose. Hi, Mike. Just out of interest, what's the average age you see of people doing USMLE exams? I'd say 20s, um, late 20s, 20s, late 20s. I get students all over the age spectrum. I've had students like 20, literally 20, sitting USMLE. I've had students 50s. I've had students 50s. And I don't change my personality, so it's like kind of weird sometimes, you know, because if I'm teaching someone who's like 58, you know, and it's like a parent, like my parent or whatever, and like I'm like wrong fucking answer, like try again. You know, it's like a little bit unusual, isn't it? I mean, but I don't really know what to say. But I've had that, you know, to have like students who are like in their 50s, they answer a question like you're fucking wrong. Try again. You know, I'm like this kid. I'm like I mean, I'm 36. I'm not super fucking young. Be worse if I'm like 26, right? It's like this young fucking kid. It's like you're fucking wrong. But I mean, that's like at least I'm able. I mean, I've evolved to the point where I can at least joke with students about that. Like if I'm like you're fucking wrong or something, and then I'm like, how's that for encouragement from your tutor, right? Your mom's like, was your session good today? Is your tutor encouraging? Like it's like you're fucking wrong, right? How's that for encouragement? But I can like joke about it. In the past, I used to not joke about it. I used to just be like, you're fucking wrong. And then it would like end there. And it's like, okay, like, all right. Like, you know, but I've evolved to like, you know, be more affable or self deprecating in that regard. And that's like you know, it's a social adaptation. Um, Abcom 98. Is there a proper order to study the disciplines? Do you have a preferred order? It doesn't matter. Endocrine is your backbone for step one. And I've said this a lot. That's like arrows. Okay. So you got to be able to do well on arrows, endocrine, like your hormones. After that, I tend to just move students to cardio pulm. It doesn't have to be, but I tend to do that. I tend to move students from endocrine to like path, general path, like tumor stuff. I do a lot of that on my during my sessions. Cardio pulm, heme, renal, GI. Amira, hi Mike. How much do you take to prepare and post a single audio question? It doesn't take me long at all. It's very fast for me because I like how many questions have I fucking done, guys? Like 790. So it's like for me, it's like tying my shoes. I can do that shit like cracked out easily. All the editing, all the stuff that I do, just it's like boom, boom, boom. I don't think about it anymore. You know, but it's not an accident that like my old clips, if you go back in my YouTube, like my old clips, when I had like a different apartment and stuff, they were like, you know, it was like they were like hostage level. Like the lighting was really bad. The some of them the questions are not zoomed in properly. I didn't have a microphone. I didn't have a proper microphone. So like things were different. They were longer, I think less to the point. So you'll evolve your own cadence based on what you sense people want. I've just sensed people want like 3 to 5 minute clips generally. If I make a clip that's like longer than like 6 minutes, I consider that long. So if I put out like an 8 minute clip, my thought is like too long, but some students like it. And it's not bad occasionally. Like I wouldn't put out all my fucking clips 8 minutes, 8 minutes, 10 minutes. I wouldn't do that. But like occasionally, if it's like 5, 6, 5, 5, 8, it's not a problem. You know, it's because of you guys. You don't have fucking attention span. So you want to you're like, what's the answer? Tell me the answer real quick, and then you're like, I can handle this 4 minute and 40 second clip. It's not a big deal. But if it's like 9 minutes, you're gonna fucking leave after like 5 minutes. I see analytics. I know how these things work. It's like, people have a big fucking mouth about like what they want, and then I see the analytics, and it'll be like the opposite. People will be like, make long clips, make a 10. I like 10-minute clips, and then it's like, no, you don't, because everyone fucking leaves after like, they'll be gone by like 6 minutes. You're off checking your fucking Instagram or something, right? Yeah, people are off doing their fucking thing. You'll be watching a YouTube clip, can't, you're looking at your phones. I mean, people are like, that's modern fucking human shit. People are distracted all the time. And if you're not following me on Instagram, you're also a fucking asshole. You get DMs daily from people who like ask me medical questions and they're not following my account. I just ignore them. Like, why would I respond to your dumb medical question in my IG DMs, like requests list, when like you don't have like the respect to fucking like at least follow the account. You'd be like, oh, I didn't realize. People aren't fucking stupid. You're a medical student. It's like, you can't be that fucking stupid. Muhammad Hassan, medical advice for someone having a 50 degrees Celsius temperature in his country. I mean, what do you say to that? No one has a 50 degrees Celsius temperature. I think you mean 40 degrees Celsius. 40 degree would be like typhoid fever, meningitis, neuroleptic malignant syndrome, malignant hyperthermia, not carcinoid, serotonin syndrome. USMLE likes to give serotonin syndrome, like 105, 106. Be heat stroke as well. ANEM, how to stay calm and confident during dedicated period and also during the exam. I'm scared. I said before, you say how to stay calm and confident during the dedicated period and also during the exam. The answer is you fucking handle it, because there's no alternative. You can't be emotional about these things. I've used these analogies quite a bit. It's like if you're in a surgery and some negative stimulus comes in, some news or something, there's a perturbing variable that suddenly manifests itself. Is that going to impact your ability to perform the surgery safely and close the patient? And right, if you're with a patient, you're a family doctor, and you're with the patient sitting in front of you, and some news presents itself or some stimulus, are you going to like let that carry over to the patient and let it affect care, or can you handle it? So my point is that studying for the USMLE is a psychologic screening test as much as it is one about your knowledge augmentation. You have to be able to handle it. People who can't handle the stress of preparing for USMLE weed themselves out. If you get a shittier score on the real deal because you can't handle the pressure of being in the real deal, or you can't handle the pressure of like dedicated, or something affects you mentally, that's actually like part of the process. That's a screening test, because shouldn't you want your fucking surgeon to be able to handle stress? If some surgeon's fucking operating on your mom's kidney, don't you want that surgeon to be able to handle fucking stress and not be like, I'm scared, or like, I feel emotional right now? You're gonna fucking do it. So I mean, you gotta handle it, right? And if you're a dude, you especially have to be able to handle it. There's no room for that, just even outside of medicine, just being like, I mean, you gotta be a rock about things. Ali Safizadeh. Are Japanese people worried about their declining birth rates? They're not at all. It's the most laughable fucking thing, like in the world. Japan had a double the number of deaths last year that they did births, and they had the lowest birth rate in 2022 in 123 years since 1899. But the Japanese people like don't care. Like it's literally that statistic it corroborates what I observe as someone who's lived here for 7 years and I'm now a permanent resident. It's something I observe in my interactions. You meet a lot of people, especially as they're getting older, who like they don't even want relationships. Like they don't want that. They're like they don't want kids. They don't have that goal. They don't want that. They just don't. They're happy with zero. They're happy with just like let me just go to my job and then go home and like do zero. I mean, that can sound like very like melancholy or something, but I mean, it's the truth about things. And then you've got the government that has, they implement these nominal measures, these ostensible attempts to attempt to stimulate the birth rate. They're like, we'll give you, this isn't a troll. They're like, we'll give you $4,000 if you have a kid. It's like laughable. It's like, try 40,000. That might move the needle. Maybe, barely. 4,000, it's like, that's not an attempt at anything. I've talked about this before. I mean, when you venture into politics, that's how you get very polarizing very fucking fast, right? You have a view on politics in one direction, and then you instantaneously alienate 50% of, people are like, oh, I don't like him. He has this political view or whatever. I mean, you want to solve the birth rate crisis, not fucking rocket science, right? It's not rocket science. It's called you eliminate abortion and you eliminate Plan B. Now, as I said, that would generate protests in the streets, wouldn't it? Imagine trying to implement that. Protests in the streets. But what's going to happen if you actually had that happen? What would occur? Birth rates go up. Right? You could take it a step further. You could say we're going to eliminate hormonal contraception. Holy shit. It's not going to happen. They tried to do it. You just have women like importing drugs from like, India or something that are made in some like, sus lab somewhere. But I mean, it's polarizing, as I said, these conversations because you get people who are like pro-choice or I've said I'm pro-life. But irrespective of that, it's not just Japan. I mean, Korea is worse. Korea is number one in the world for lowest birth rate. And they're like, what do we do? People can't be that low IQ. People can't be that stupid. They're not. It's because they're driven by politics, right? They want to stay in power. So, it's about it's about rising feminism and about I mean that type of thing where the notion of like, as I said, it's polarizing talk, but the notion of like people actually like having kids earlier and not pursuing career and stuff, that's like considered unusual in 2023. The notion of like, you say like, well, what could help the population? Let's come up with some suggestions. Let's have a whiteboard conversation right now. What could help the population grow? And it's like, okay, don't abort, don't take Plan B. And, you have fewer women pursuing career and have kids earlier and have the dude pursue career. That's like misogynist in 2023. Like just saying like, well, you could have the dude pursue career, make the cash, the girl has the kid, and then the guy supports the chick. That's like misogynist. That's like, well, we're just talking about how to solve like the human civilization declining. That's all we're talking about right now. We're not saying what we would do. We're just saying it's a possibility. That's a possibility, right? Just, I mean, is this dramatic? But what's going to happen, Ali, as you asked, is they're going to continue with their nominal slash ostensible measures of here's your $4,000 handout, which will do jack fucking shit. It's not going to move the needle. And I think population's just, it's dying in a whimper. There's no asteroid that's like colliding and killing off humans. Well, could be AI, right? I mean, that's a whole separate fucking discussion. But I think it's just humans are just going out in a whimper. Maybe there'll be a giant correction at some point, like markets, financial markets. Like, well, there'll be a correction. You get a bubble and then a correction. There's a depression. You have a bear market rally and then a correction. Maybe it's one of those things. Maybe there's a correction due. Maybe there's like, you got this, like the early 2000s will be known for like when you had a huge rise in abortion and medications people took to, plan B and all this stuff where that was normal. And then maybe there'll be a correction. Maybe at some point it'll reach a threshold where like literally populations are fucked. And then people will be like, well, we're going to make that stuff like illegal, and there'll be protests. And then what's going to happen is the birth rate will like double, and holy shit, our population's saved. And people just have to adjust mentally. But I mean, my observation with people in Japan is like you get a lot of people who like don't want kids, don't want relationships, like they're happy with 0, 100%. That's like a very, very like that's 100% like things that I observed that here, 110%. Like a female might be like 42, single, no kids, those are their parents, and she's like, "Yep, I'm happy with that." There's nothing wrong with that. People are going to do what they're going to do. But we're trying to assess why there's a fucking population issue, and I think like, and a lot of that's digitization as well, like Instagram, and like, you get a woman who like, rather than being open to some decent dude who attracts, who's willing to, have a conversation with her, she's not happy with it because she needs her, 10 out of 10 Tom Brady CEO model multimillionaire dude that she's like, looking around on Instagram and stuff. I mean, like, that's what society has come to, where, I mean, and then the birth rate declines. So a woman says it's either my Tom Brady or 0. And she's like, yep, I'm happy with 0. That's where we're at. It's not derogatory. I mean, these are observations here. That's all they are. You're talking just like observations. I don't attach an emotion or an opinion. I don't really give a fuck. It's just we're talking about like observations here. We sit in a conference room and we say, how are we going to solve the population crisis? Like, it's not fucking rocket science. It's not hard. Ume Abbas, Mike 65 and NBME is 30 and 31, safe to appear in the exam. It's borderline. You're going to get a 3-digit score conversion. You can't get one for 31, but you're going to get a 3-digit score conversion for NBME 30. You're right on the cusp. You're borderline for NBME 30 and 31. It's borderline. I wouldn't have you sit right now. You'd be more or less YOLOing. You only live once. You'd be more or less like going for it, and you could pass, but it's risky. I'd want to know what your other NBME scores are, and if you have more time, I'd want you to sit those 20 through 29 in your case, and pre 120. Mohammed, what is family medicine? We don't have it in my country. Can you explain what it is? Outpatient clinical stuff. You're talking like it's primary care. It's the first interface you have. It's the first interface most people have with a practitioner for mundane, low-level concerns and pathologies. Your kid has a cough, or like your arm has a red rash on it, or you have pain with urination, or you got some weird toenail thing, looks like a fungus, you're not sure. I mean, so you go to a practitioner, it's your first interface. That's primary care. And if you have, more severe problems, you can be referred. That's called family medicine. It's outpatient for most mundane concerns. Mohammed, according to your experience, why do students score low on CK or fail step 1? ? like biggest mistake to stay away from as students? I'd say it's just not getting through the resources. Like it's not getting it'll occur if you like don't get through QBank, you don't get through UWorld or Amboss, you don't get through my PDFs, including high-yield arrows. Like you're not working on my YouTube MCQs. You're not doing the NBME exams. Most of the time, when I have a student come to me fresh and he or she has already taken fails, okay. So I have a new student. Guys, give the video a like, by the way, for coming in the live stream. Most of the time, if I have a student coming to me for the first time, and he or she's like, I failed my comp twice, or I failed step one once or twice or three times or something, and like, what's the issue? I'm like, okay, like I ask, how much of a QBank did you go through? When did you last go through it? Okay, what did you score in it? All that stuff. Because if you say like you've gone through all of UWorld and it was like over a 2 month period, that's really good. If you said you've gone through like 80, 89 or 90% of UWorld, which sounds like you've done pretty well. But then I say, when did you start it? And you're like, last year. That's like, that doesn't count. Okay. Like you need density and consistency with QBank. It's like going to the gym. You need consistency. So I look to see how recent did a student sit QBank, and how much of the QBank, how consistent was that student? Okay. And of course, what were you scoring in it? And then I say, which NBMEs did you take? What were the dates of all your NBMEs? What were your exact scores? What are those 3-digit score conversions? How did you score on those NBME exams that you took? That's what I want to know. And so I want to know their scores, of course. Did you go through all that content? Sometimes students like, no, I didn't do the NBMEs. Or if they did do the NBMEs, I say, okay, well, you didn't fucking do QBank. That's the problem. You're trying to do the NBMEs with like 30% of QBank finished. It's a big fucking problem. So you need to finish QBank. So did you finish all of QBank recently? Did you do all the NBMEs? Did you look at any of my PDFs? Did you look at my YouTube MCQs? There's a no in there somewhere. It'll be someone's like, no, like I looked at your cardio a little bit or something. Like, oh, I tried looking at arrows a little bit. Or they'll say they went through high-yield arrows, and then I can ask them a basic question from high-yield arrows, and they don't know. So it's the tetrad. You got to do the tetrad. Number one, all of a QBank, and not too longitudinally, not too spatially or temporally spread out. There needs to be a density. You did all of QBank in a 2 month period, or a 2.5, 3 month period. Not fucking 7 months to do QBank. my PDFs, my YouTube MCQs, that's 3. And then 4 is all the NBME content for 2CK, the Clinical Master Series forms. Pinnacle Adam, thanks, Mike, for the motivation. TBS, general principles, pathology are consistently my weakest. You've been watching 10 to 20 per day of my pathology playlist MCQs on the YouTube to supplement with NBME forms. Is this approach to improve path? Yes, that will work. Excellent. I mean, my path PDF or my path PDF laughable. My path playlist on the YouTube, excellent. It's fucking long too. A lot of questions there. Laughable. How to differentiate between ascending, says True Teller. How to differentiate between ascending cholangitis, cholestasis, etc. Dude, I mean, I got this stuff in my GI PDF, right? Got all this stuff beautifully laid out, my GI PDF in a table format, all the high yield conditions, right? Ascending cholangitis bacterial, usually E. coli, Bacteroides, polymicrobial, idiopathic, right? But you're going to get Charcot triad for cholangitis. So fever, jaundice, and abdominal pain. Doesn't have to be right upper quadrant pain. I'll be doing that with a student. I'll be like, they won't know the diagnosis. I'm like, what's Charcot triad for cholangitis? I'm like, okay, we have fever, we have jaundice, it's abdominal pain. They're like, it's not right upper quadrant. I'm like, it doesn't say right upper quadrant. You're right. It doesn't have to be right upper quadrant. So that's Charcot triad for cholangitis. That's how it's going to present. You can get cholangitis also, obviously, in IBD, like UC, primary sclerosing cholangitis, right? You can also get cholangitis in the setting of choledocholithiasis. That can lead to it. Someone with history of stones, you can get cholangitis. But I mean, then you say cholecystitis. Well, cholecystitis, because that's inflammation of the gallbladder. Cholangitis is inflammation of the bile ducts. Cholecystitis, far lesser chance that you're going to have increased ALP and direct bilirubin because you don't have a blockage of the bile ducts, right? There's one fucking question, one only, out of like, 20 on one of the new TCK forms where they give you increased ALP and direct bilirubin with cholecystitis. It's fucking weird and wrong in my view. But 19 out of 20 times, you wouldn't have an increased ALP and direct bilirubin cholecystitis. It could be that question I just discussed because cholecystitis is going to be due to a stone almost always blocking off the cystic duct. So I mean, if you have a concurrent choledocholithiasis in theory, it's then that could be why. But cholecystitis, it's going to present as biliary colic, like as someone who has history of cholelithiasis, but now they have fever, right? So they have abdominal pain and fever, colic, abdominal pain, fever. Positive Murphy sign, you could have cholecystitis, right? So pain of the epigastrium with palpation with inspiration, right? So you do ultrasound first for diagnosis for cholecystitis. If negative, do a HIDA scan. Cholangitis, you're going to do ERCP. In real life, they'll do an ultrasound first, but for USMLE, they'll just have ERCP listed. I haven't seen them like push that, like, oh, choose ultrasound over ERCP. I haven't seen that. They might say an ultrasound was done in the vignette first, or they might not mention it at all, and then the answer will just be ERCP as the next best step for cholangitis. Right? There's a lot we can talk about, like choledocholithiasis, gallstone pancreatitis, sphincter of Oddi dysfunction, bile duct leak, gallstone ileus, cholangiocarcinoma, pancreatic cancer, primary biliary cirrhosis, right? There's a lot of these high yield differentials. I talk about all these things in my GI PDF as well as in my GI playlist, my surgery playlist. It's easy stuff. It's very easy. Pinnacle Atom, I really admire you. PS. PS, you reek of testosterone, and that's so cool too. Um, Ali, why is your Instagram private? My Instagram's not private. My Mehlmanmedical Instagram is not private. It's not private. Truth teller, Kuwait can get up to 50 to 55 degrees Celsius. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. I mean, 40 degrees Celsius, 104 Fahrenheit. So unless you're talking like, you say like 120, 130 degree, like fucking like dry air. Yeah, they're like the thermometer is like touching like a piece of sandstone or something. It's like, well, no fucking shit, a piece of stone is going to heat to like 55 degrees. It's not the fucking air. It's already an hour and a half. How many more of these questions do I want to answer? Let me see. It's a lot of questions, huh? Could answer all these questions, huh? I mean, you guys are here. We'll do it. Pinnacle Adam, please honestly, I've been doing system-based questions like an asshole, and I've done cardio, GI, endocrine, 67% so far, and soon to be stuck currently at hematology exam in December. Okay, no question. Raja Sohail, hey Mike, in today's video of gastro X-rays showing, okay, air under the diaphragm. No, the answer was air into the diaphragm in the X-ray in today's video. That was air under the diaphragm. I literally Googled air under the diaphragm, duodenal perforation. And that's where I got, that was Wikipedia, actually, that image. Pneumoperitoneum. It's high yield for TCK at least, but you should be aware of it. It could be for GI step one. You could just be aware of it. Air under the diaphragm is viscous perforation, duodenal perforation. Oscar Torres, what are you doing in Japan? Are you practicing medicine over there? I said I'm not practicing. I'm doing USMLE stuff. Why am I in Japan? I said I like Asian chicks. I prefer Asian chicks. I said that. Jumana, man, I like your wisdom, truth teller. But nowadays, life is too expensive for one breadwinner is the problem. Well, not if the dude is like efficacious. People have to not be so entitled. How much pampering do you need? That's my question. Do you need a house with 8 rooms? Or can you get by living in a place that's more simple and within like reality? Do you need 6 rooms that you don't fucking use? Is that necessary? Is it? The only purpose that serves is to attract chicks. That's the only fucking purpose that serves. Right? If you're solo and you're like, come to my fucking huge fucking house with like 9 rooms that I don't use. Right? Here's a pool I don't use. Here's like a cool car that I don't need, but it attracts chicks. This is all the stuff of like, if you're trying to buy expensive shit like that. I could live in a fucking house if I wanted to. I think it's a waste of money. I'd rather have Bitcoin. I think Bitcoin's the best thing you could buy. But I'm not buying right now. I'm going to wait till prices fall. But the point is, no, I think that it's a long discussion. People will do what they want to do, right? I've said that I'm not attracted to women who are career focused. And there's nothing wrong with that. Okay, people get triggered real fucking fast. 2023. That's not, I mean, some people want that. I have friends, I have like a friend who like likes, he'd prefer a chick he meets as like a fucking PhD and like, they have deep conversation. I'm the fucking opposite. I'd rather a chick work at a convenience store and, I don't get probed with all these questions. I'd rather she just drinks her bubble tea. Some of the stuff that comes out of my mouth sounds like parody level shit, but it's really not. Like, I mean, it's like, I think it's, females attractive in terms of having kids and not being focused on career. That's my view. There's nothing wrong with wanting a career and like, having multiple breadwinners and, you know, no kids or one kid. There's no problem with that. There's no problem with that. People are going to have different views. But people also simultaneously wonder why there's a fucking population decline like worldwide. This isn't accidental here. Okay. I mean, you can pretty much draw a straight fucking line between countries that have population issues and, how much you've got career focus in the female. These are observations. These are like scientific, like these are stats. That's not my fucking opinion, right? South Korea. I mean, I had a girlfriend from South Korea. I've been to South Korea 7 times. You know, it's anecdotal, but I mean, she was like ascending the corporate ladder, like in her. I mean, it's like not into that. It's like just have kids. Just like what? Like I mean, Ali Safizadeh. Why are 90% of doctors lame and beta? Manzur Ali, hey Mike, do you recommend remembering CMS and NBME questions? And if yes, what's the best possible way to do that? I've said you're gonna memorize the NBMEs the best that you can, but you don't have to make Anki cards from the CMS and NBMEs for step 2. For step 1, yes, you're gonna make Anki from your NBME and corrects, but for step 2, you're just gonna do the CMS twice in all the NBMEs. Mustafa asks, lately I've been thinking about going YOLO, you only live once, for IDs, Instadates. After I finish picking up contacts on a given session, I think it would improve the results even more in Turkey. No shit. I've told you from a while back that instadating is an important facet of approach practitionership. But in your case, it's not your fault because you've evolved to focus on contact exchanges because you've developed high efficacy from that without the need necessarily for instadates. But you should just be mindful that, yes, you would be missing instadates. You would be missing hookups from instadates. But once again, it doesn't matter for you, right? Because a lot of the contacts you pick up are they're females that meet up with you again, so that works out. If you live in a culture where the propensity for a contact exchange to convert over into a date is far lower, then you would evolve to focus more on instadates. But girls in Turkey are highly promiscuous. I don't need to overgeneralize, but this is like it's actually, if you fucking Google it, it's number one country in the world for number of sexual partners. Australia is number two. When I lived in Australia, it was like a fucking circus. It was like a fucking play. Australia was like a fucking playpen. you know. But Turkey, I mean, I've got friends in Turkey, and it's like, yeah, it's like a playpen. It's laughable. But you can also get Plan B for like $3, can't you, in Turkey? So I mean, that makes sense. It's like candy over there, right? We have a conception and then just murder our kid. No worries. Ali, I agree with your takes 100%. I'm asking these questions to keep you entertained, as I know it gets boring repeating the same stuff a gazillion times. What are you asking me to keep me entertained? Your last question didn't entertain me at all. Your last question was why are 90% of doctors lame and beta? That didn't entertain me. But you're right, I get asked the same dumb med questions repeatedly. Livia, question for you actually. Sometimes with arrows, I remember the direction of the arrows, but not the reason why. Is that enough, or is in-depth understanding important? It's good to know the concepts behind the arrows, wouldn't you say? Wouldn't you say? But in less of a dismissive response type from me, there's certain concepts that can be quote unquote memorized with more of a cursory or superficial understanding. For example, aldosterone arrows. So all the arrows are going to go the same direction as aldosterone, except potassium goes the opposite. If aldosterone is up, so what does that mean? Okay, sodium's an up arrow. You're reabsorbing it. Bicarb's an up arrow because you're getting rid of protons. pH is an up arrow. Well, it's a metabolic alkalosis, right? But, potassium's the opposite. You're getting rid of it. So potassium's down if your aldosterone's high. So you can memorize arrows like that. Like even if you don't fully understand, like I could say, well, why are those the arrows? And you'd be like, I'm not sure, but you can memorize that the arrows go the same direction as aldosterone. Potassium goes the opposite. That's like one little thing you can memorize. But if you understand the arrows, like high-yield arrows PDF, then that's a good indicator you're going to pass step one. Guys, give the video a like if you're coming to the live stream. And if you're not subscribed to my channel, please subscribe. There's some of you who are not subscribed. Some of you who are not following this channel. I see the analytics. I know that there's people who watch these live streams who are not subscribed. And so I say subscribe, and you're like, I'm not going to subscribe. It's fine. Don't fucking subscribe to my channel. No worries, right? Don't subscribe to my channel. Don't worry about it, right? Don't worry about it. Um, I'm not answering that question. No, I don't recommend that. Abdullah, Abdultrot. Mike Travis, do you recommend cubing someone taking step one a second time? The answer is yes. I've said that if you take a fail on step one, you're going to be doing QBank for another month, and then you're going to be um, going back to the NBMEs for a month. So you have to do AMBOSS or UWorld for at least a month, and then we can try you back on the NBME exams. Ali, also, this might, let me see. Also, this might be personal, and I would understand if you don't want to respond. I like how people like preface like that. But genuinely curious if you want to settle down in the future and have kids. How do you know I don't have like, upwards of 20 children already? Right? How do you know? I like how people make assumptions, right? Um, I just have a very unconventional life. But I've said if there's going to be a chick that like I have, a more of a serious interaction with, I know what you're getting at. It would have to entail that she's pretty much just like, pumping out a kid like every like, once a year. Otherwise, I wouldn't have interest. I mean, what interest? What reason do I have to be there unless she's pumping out kids like every like 11 months or something, right? So I hope that answers your question, right? If she's gonna have like 12 kids or something, that's like okay, that would keep me interested. Where was I? Sometimes chat moves. That's what I'm saying. If a chick tells me she's like focused on career, no interest. Because I see like career focus as inversely correlated with maternal propensity. Like Travis. Sunny. How do we answer out there questions? Okay. There's an NBME 10 question where you have to know that you test hemophilia using blood in the umbilical cord. I only got it right because of you, obviously. Um, I'd have to see the question. It doesn't specifically ring a bell to me. I'd have to see the question. Usually, when there's a quote unquote weird question, um, there's often a bigger picture concept affixed to it that can get you the answer like easier. Like you can eliminate to get there. You're like, well, four of the answers are clearly fucking wrong. You would never do that in a million years. And then you're like left with the slightly like unusual answer. Like you're checking cord blood for hemophilia. That's something you haven't heard of before. But the other answer is like, we're clearly fucking wrong. So sometimes questions work like that too. Sonny wouldn't want to prick a baby with hemophilia, and you wouldn't want to give the mom cryoprecipitate because why the fuck would you do that? Question mark. I guess I only got it right from process as I just fucking said. Yep. Yep. How do you retain all the USMLE info without forgetting? I want to retain info like you. It's called years of fucking tutoring and making content. Weird ways. Are you really live? Why wouldn't I be live right now? What do you mean, am I really live? Yes, I'm live right now. This is live, correct. We are live. We are in a live stream. I stopped making strategy clips, like the pre-recorded like strategy clips, like how to prepare for USMLE. Like and I will in the future because those generate a lot of subscribers. I think that last clip I put out like a couple months ago on like um, how to prepare for step one, it generated like over 300 subs. Whereas the questions I put out that are not clickbaity at all, they get like very few subs. Um, Ali, should I do internal medicine in the US, step 2, 244, or do radiology in UK, Germany, considering I don't like talking to patients? The answer is you do what you want to do. Like, what are you interested in? The mind of Jonathan asks, how old are you? I'm 36. Said that a lot. People ask me that like daily. 36 and a half. Let's throw a half in there. Truth teller, Kuwait, highest weather sexual summer. Did I just like completely dyslexically read that? I did. I don't know where I got that word from. How did that come about? Kuwait, highest weather summer. You're like writing haikus or some shit, truth teller. Like, what are you on about? That's not English. Kuwait, highest weather summer? What does that mean? I think you mean hottest, maybe. Hottest weather in summer. Lost where I was. Dima, if I'm not mistaken, NBME 28 was the same question for perforated viscous. Just did it yesterday. Haha. Well, what do you, I mean, I didn't make it specifically after NBME 28. I just know what's on the NBME exams in general. Like, so I know what's high yield. Like, no shit, the questions I make for my YouTube MCQs are based on the NBME exams. Like, no shit. Like, I'm not making obscurities. A's Bata. I passed up one last month and feel like I destroyed the exam. My max was 76% on NBME. I want 260 plus step 2. Is it possible for me if I study for a year straight? That's way too fucking long. What's the best QBank after UWorld? Amboss, but I would do, you can do Amboss, UWorld are the same. This is what you're going to do as Beta. You're going to do all of UWorld or Amboss for step 2. It doesn't matter. You're going to do all of it. It's going to take you 2 months. Then you're going to do 3 to 3.5 weeks of all the CMS forms. Then you're going to do NBME 6 through 8. Then you're going to do a double pass of all the CMS forms. You're going to do free 120. You're going to do NBMEs 9 and 10. If you take NBMEs 9 and 10 online and your scores are like 240s and you're not happy because you want your 260 plus, only at that point do we decide we're going to go back to QBank for like a month plus, where you could do Amboss at that point, where you could do UWorld and Corrects at that point. Only all the way in the future when you get to 9 and 10 and you don't like your scores, would that happen? If you like your scores, you can just sit. 11 through 14, sit. And the reason that's the case is because you can get a high score in that streamlined 4-month process I just described. What you're suggesting is you do like all of UWorld. And then rather than going straight to the CMS forms, you would do like Amboss immediately after. Not necessary. We'd be saving you time right now. So I see that's that like second QBank back, rather than doing them back to back, you could incorporate a second QBank in theory. If you say, I'm fucking gunner, I want my 260, 270, I'm okay studying forever, I don't care, I'll do it. Just tell me what I need to do. I will say only if you don't get the scores you're looking for on 9 and 10 will we therefore have you go back to another QBank maybe. And at that point, you might not even want to. You might be like, dude, I don't want to study this shit anymore. Seriously. I know that because I mean, what do you think I do? I teach. So I know how students are. Ahmed Hendy, hi, Dr. Mike. Good to see you. Hello, tomorrow. What's your suggested minimum correct percent correct answers on 5 consecutive NBMEs to pass it? You're generally looking at high 60s to 70 plus. I like 205 to 210 plus on at least 3 exams for you to sit step 1. For step 2, I want 220 plus on the NBMEs because 214 is pass. But for step 1, it's a 197 internal pass mark. But I want 205, 210 plus as a buffer. HUD, it's funny that you love South Korea a lot and I want to get out from it and go to the US. I didn't say I wanted to. First of all, I didn't realize you were in South Korea. Maybe actually there was like someone like yesterday, maybe 2 days ago, who said they were in South Korea. I was surprised. I don't know if it was you. I didn't say I want to move to South Korea anymore. I did in the past. In 2018, I wanted to go to South Korea. I talked about this yesterday, how I went to Guam, which is US soil, to apply for a working holiday visa there. And I didn't meet one of the requirements and I couldn't get it and I was pissed off. So I didn't move to South Korea and I ended up staying in Japan and now I'm a permanent resident of Japan. I've been here 7 years, but I mean, I would never move to South Korea now. I love South Korea, love it in terms of like the food. It's pretty much just like food, beer, and like and shochu or soju. Shochu's Japan, but soju, right? Which is your chamisu. I fucking love. I mean, Korean like food and alcohol, fucking amazing. And I like, I like the how trendy like the culture is there. I like it, but I think living there, knowing that they have the lowest birth rate, hell no, because it means you have a feminist push there. You know, not to go down that conversation every 2 fucking seconds, but it's like you have too much of a career focus with people don't want kids. That's a problem. I wouldn't want to live there. It's worse than Japan. Japan's a big fucking problem already. So I wouldn't want to live there in South Korea. Visit? Hell yeah. I might go to Korea soon, actually. I mean, it's really easy for me to go to Korea. It's like an hour and a half flight. Not a joke from where I am. It's really fast from where I am in Osaka. Just take a flight. It's the same cost for me to fly to South Korea as it is for me to fly to Tokyo. Isn't that fucked up? That's why I've like barely like I've been to Tokyo like a few times, but like that's it. Because when I've checked flights and stuff in the past, it's like, well, I could go to fucking a different country, go to South Korea for the same price. It's like super cheap. And you get like round trip tickets for like $150 from like South Korea, from where I am. Um, but yeah, that's could talk about South Korea for a while, huh? Hello tomorrow. You say I got 72 to 74%, but feel on step one NBME still so afraid of going to the real thing. Laughable. Those are good scores. Lost where I was. NBME 14. So A says NBME 14 wants abdo CT with contrast for gallstone pancreatitis instead of ERCP. I would have to see that. I would have to see that. I'd have to see that because if that's the case, that's new. Because ERCP is classic. It's for any gallstone in the biliary tree. It's classic. It's diagnostic and therapeutic. CT, I mean, what are you looking for on CT? Because gallstone pancreatitis, that would be looking for the pancreatitis alone, right? If you're diagnosing like the extent of fluid collection, um, that's in the follow-up of pancreatitis that a CT can be done. I know that there's a question out there where CT is done for imaging in pancreatitis, but ERCP is classic for choledocholithiasis. So maybe I'd want to know if ERCP was also listed, because if it is also listed, that's a big fucking deal. You say CT with contrast was listed and ERCP, and they chose abdo CT, I'd be like, I don't think so. And maybe you're like, no, really. DM me the fucking question. Hey, if you're still in the live stream, what I want you to do is DM me, por favor, DM me that question on Instagram. Just be like, I'm the person who's named A, so I don't delete you because people send me dumb fucking shit all the time. So just start off instantly saying, my name is A, I was from the live stream or whatever. And then just say, like, here's the question, here's the stupid question from 14. And make sure you're following me if you send me a message, because if you're not following, I'm going to delete you instantly. L33, much love, superhero. Have a fantastic day. Drew Pierce, any advice for I am shelf question mark? Which specific PDFs of yours do you recommend? You're going to do all like cardio, pulm, renal, gastro, heme, derm, high yield reviews 1, 2, 3, 4. Diana Tobar, what's going on? You spelled my name wrong. It's Mehlman, not Mehlmanm. Happy Saturday. It is Saturday here in Japan. You're in California, aren't you? You're Korean, but you're in California. So in California, it would be like 1:22 p.m. right now on Friday. That's my guess. Yeah. It's 5:22 a.m. here. So it'd be 1:22. California, Friday. Rashida Muhammad. Hi, first, thank you for all you do for students. My question is, what is the best to do in dedicated 2 months? You're going to do UWorld until you're going to do QBank for step one. You're going to do QBank until you're just going to finish it off. And then the final month's going to be all NBME. For step two, you'll be working on, you're going to finish all of QBank. It's going to take you 2 months. Then your final 2 months, it's going to be CMS forms for three to 3.5 weeks, and maybe 6 through 8, another 3 to 3.5 weeks of all the CMS forms again, and then free 120 and 9 through 14. So if you're talking like 2 months, for step one, you would be in QBank for another month, and then NBMEs for step two, you would still be on the clinical mastery series forms 2 months out. Mike Travis, thanks for answering my question. Moed, what's the ideal time for marriage for a medical student? No fucking idea. Probably not a good idea. I mean, but I was like I was like 20. I was in my 20s. I was in my early and mid 20s when I was in med school. So for me, that's not what I mean, I told you Australia was a fucking playhouse when I was there. It was a fucking party playhouse. It's fucking awesome. That was my med school experience. It's fucking great. But if you're like 30s or something, or 40s and you're med school, get married, right? But at the same time, I've said, like, if you say, well, you preach that on one direction, the other direction is like you talk about, like, wouldn't it be nice, chick gets married early and has kids, like, so which one is it? Can't have your cake and eat it too. Which one's it going to be? Well, you can have your cake and eat it too. But if we're not going to play that game, it could be the chick has to agree to have like 12 fucking kids, and then, okay, then it's possible. She's not going to have 12 kids. She's like, no, I want like maybe 2. Not interested. TBS Moed, after step 2 would be ideal to secure that residency. What are you responding to? Whom are you responding to? Like, what is that in reference to? That question, not question, just that statement, that fragment. Abdel, studying for ethics. I watched. Mustafa, you think procreation should be the end goal for a guy? Question mark. How important is having a high number of? It's not a competition. It's not what I'm getting at. I'm just saying that people have different goals, right? That's what it comes down to. It's people have different goals. There's no right or wrong. It's just people have different goals. Some people don't want kids. They want their one kid. They want to focus on career. Like, that's like some people, some women are. So it comes down. I'd say, Mustafa, the answer is it comes down to the mechanism via which you can achieve whatever your goals are. So you have to think about what your goals are, and then you say, how am I going to achieve that? Right? You're going to be with some chick who agrees to have 12 kids and do it fast. She agrees like every fucking year. You're like, no, not every 2 years, every fucking year now. Or, right? You could play the field and be like, well, 12 girls, 12 more kids. You say, well, I can do that better, or I can do both. I mean, you got to sort out what you want. Right? Conversation get people real fucking triggered real fast. You have to figure out what you want. Because you haven't had a problem meeting people and picking up contacts and getting your dates and getting your conversions and all that. That's been easy for you. But then they go take their fucking, like, they run off to take their plan B or whatever. So, I mean, that's not helping, is it, for you? But maybe a chick will just say, sure, I'll agree to have like, fucking 8+ kids or whatever. If you'll like stand by me and you're like, you don't want, you'd like to be promiscuous, but you say she's willing to have like 8 kids or whatever. Maybe I can deal with this for like the moment. But you tell her that you're like, if you don't have like, if this isn't gonna, you're not gonna do the 8 kids, you're not gonna do 12 kids. I'm not interested. You can tell her that. People have different goals. There's no right or wrong. It would be like two people getting together who it's like their goal is to be like Christian and go to church. That's their goal. That's what they want to do. Let's just pretend. And then after, let's say 2 kids, one of them's like, you know what? I'm going to convert to Hinduism. Or I'm going to convert to Buddhism. Something else. That doesn't fit the goals of the initial relationship, does it? So you can meet a chick and she agrees to 8 kids. And then after 2, she's like, well, I don't want any more kids. And then you're like, well, I'm going to find some other chick who does. You can do that. Like, boom. Right? So, as I said, these types of conversations are very polarizing. Let me see here. Ushtiganga. Good afternoon, Dr. Mehlman. I'm wondering what your opinion on a realistic improvement of scores within 6 weeks, NBME 20, 58%, NBME 21, 60%, NBME 22, 64.5%. We could entertain, this is what I want you doing, Ushtiganga. I want you sitting NBME 23, and you have to get a 197 or higher 3-digit score conversion. You have to. Actually, I don't know why you did the NBMEs this early. I don't want you doing that. I want you doing QBank for another 2 weeks. This is unusual because I don't like half pregnant trajectories where like you say 2 weeks, not going to matter. I want you to do, because I wouldn't want you using the NBMEs this early. So I have a good plan for you. You are going to do QBank for another 2 weeks, 40 questions per day. And you're going to do my PDFs, my YouTube MCQs in the afternoon/evening. You're going to do that. And then at 4 weeks out, you're going to redo NBMEs 20 and 21. That's what you're going to do, as though you've never done them. And 22. You're going to redo those NBMEs as though you've never done them. Then you're going to sit 23. And we're going to see how you go. And if you don't get a 197 or above on NBME 23, you're going to go back to QBank for yet another month. So that's what's going to happen. So it's 2 weeks of QBank and my PDFs and YouTube MCQs only. You're going to redo 20, 21, 22 as though you've never done them for review. We're not going to worry about your scores because you'll get like, let's say 80% or 85% on them. You're like, well, I just fucking did them. I remember the questions. Great. I don't care. I understand that. But we're using them for review. So you do those NBMEs again, and then you're going to sit 23, and that'll be in like, maybe 2.5-ish, 3 weeks from now, ballpark. And then if you get a 197 or greater, you can, on 23, you can proceed to 24. You need to get a 127 or greater, proceed to free 120. I like to see 2/3, but I don't stop a trajectory based on a shitty 120 score. You had maybe 25, I want to see a 197 or greater. 26, I want to see a 197 or greater. When we get to 27, we say, you really need to be getting a 205 or greater. I said 205, 210 plus on the NBMEs before you sit the real deal. Abdel, same fucking question asked twice. You're really in for it, huh? Hashash, I love you, Mike. Tayaba, hey, Dr. Mike. Tayaba, I think I recognize your name. What's your thought on soap application? No thought on it. Like if one's late in applying for the match or gives theirs 2CK a little late, what are the chances to match in a soap? I stay within my fucking lane, meaning I don't pontificate or like um, preach advice in areas I'm not conversant. Okay, I mean, I'm not an expert on soap. Okay, obviously, the extent I'm aware of it is just yes, it's an alternative pathway. People who apply it exactly as you're fucking saying right now. But in terms of like efficacy, in terms of whether one should bank on that, my view on whether that should be something someone should prepare for specifically, I don't tend to go that route. I tend to just prep people for like the normal match. Soap is kind of like a last minute like slipshot approach to trying to get in. Roby 2013, how relevant are the porphyrias for step one? Ultra fucking high yield. Ultra fucking high yield. You might think they're low yield, they're not. They're ultra fucking high yield porphyrias. Guys, give the video a like if you're coming to the live stream. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. But the porphyrias, super fucking important. That refers to acute intermittent porphyria, porphyria cutaneous tarda. The questions are all over the NBMEs, especially the offline forms. Right? They're autosomal dominant as well. They ask in acute intermittent porphyria inheritance AD straight up. I mean, acute intermittent porphyria, right? Abdominal pain, red urine, right? Can get neuropathy. So, porphobiolinogen deaminase deficiency. Porphyria tarda, I mean, that's deficiency of your uroporphyrinogen decarboxylase, and that's going to be increased uroporphyrins, and that's going to be the answer for photosensitivity in the setting of a heme synthesis disorder. I mean, and then of course, lead poisoning is in the heme synthesis pathway. So that lead inhibits ferrochelatase as well as delta ALA dehydratase. Microcytic anemia, basophilic stippling. It's easy shit. Sideroblastic anemia, I mean, that's, you're either X-linked recessive or you've knocked out, e.g., through alcohol, delta ALA synthase. This is what they're going to do, guys. They're going to give you a question. This is what's going to happen in USMLE. I'm going to tell you straight up what's going to go down. You're going to get a question where it's like someone has blistering photosensitivity and they're describing porphyria cutaneous tarda, or they're going to describe someone with red urine, abdominal pain, acute intermittent porphyria. And rather than they can ask you the enzyme deficiency, as I just said. So porphobiolinogen deaminase for acute intermittent porphyria, uroporphyrinogen decarboxylase for porphyria cutaneous tarda. They can do that. What they really like doing is giving you one of those vignettes and then asking you like a precursor. They're like, which of the following is a precursor in this pathway? And you're like, what the fuck? And the answer is just succinyl-CoA or glycine. I've made YouTube questions on this. You say, well, can you explain what that means? Okay. The first step of heme synthesis is succinyl-CoA plus glycine via vitamin B6 and delta ALA synthase goes to delta ALA. So the answer could be succinyl-CoA, it could be glycine, right? That's all it is. These questions are all over the NBMEs, the porphyrias, the heme synthesis disorders. USMLE fucking loves this shit. Fucking love it. Lead poisoning as well, as I said. I said lead inhibits ferrochelatase as well as delta ALA dehydratase. Where was I? Quadruple 2. Why did you choose Osaka over other areas of Japan? I said that before I moved here. I applied to an immersion school in Tokyo first, actually, before Osaka. And the staff was very rude via email. And then I ended up choosing the Osaka school. They were very nice through email, the Osaka school. Tokyo was like, They were real fucking audacious in how they communicated to me through email. Basically, what happened was I had when I was in my final year of med, I launched an application to a Japanese language immersion school in Tokyo, and I paid like $400 for some down deposit. Like I got in. What happened was they gave me the acceptance. I got in. I paid $400 for like the deposit, but I wasn't like 100% sure I wanted to go there yet. I was like, I had a, thinking maybe I'll go to Osaka. I was like, I wasn't 100% sure yet. And you had to pay like the tuition, like the full tuition by a certain, time. And I just was like thinking about it. I wasn't like, I was still just contemplating it. But their emails to me were like threatening almost. It was like odd. It was like we told you to like, you know, respond about applying, or we told you to like respond about whether you're going to pay the tuition by this date. If you don't pay the tuition, your acceptance will be revoked, and therefore your place will. It just came off like very like condescending and rude, as if I was like a 17-year-old in fucking high school, where they're like, if you don't submit your homework by this date, we told you. I was like, I'm a fucking 29-year-old doctor, like doctor in like 2 months time. I was graduating med school. I was like, I'm a 29-year-old fucking doctor, and you're like talking to me like I'm in fucking like 11th grade, like upbraiding me. It rubbed me the wrong way. And then Osaka was like, we would love to have you. Like, we're like stoked. They were like, hell yeah. They're like, hell yeah, come to our school. And I was like, fuck yeah. And then that's like how I chose Osaka. It was like night and day. And then I didn't even respond to the Tokyo school. And then they sent me like another email saying like it was the same energy. It was like, because you didn't like respond to us on time, therefore like you've been revoked and all this. I'm like, get the fuck out of here. Like it was pretty like night and day. And that I think was a good thing, because it like in my mind it was like that means my decision was like it was made for me. It was like I was definitely quote unquote meant. I don't believe in serendipitous, all that bullshit, but I'm just saying, like, if we want to get like philosophical about it, it's like I was meant quote unquote to go to Osaka. It wasn't like I had to make a tough decision between the two. It was like, it's Osaka. Fuck yeah. And fuck Tokyo, because there's like way too many foreigners there. Jumana asks, why do you prefer working in Japan rather than the US? I've said I don't like guns. I don't have interest in being around like people close carrying their fucking 9 millimeter, or like, you know, living there for 4 years and then I'm in the wrong place at the wrong time and there's someone with a fucking AK-47 or some bullshit. I have no interest in being around that. Some people think that's silly. I don't think that's silly. I would have no interest in raising a family in the United States. I don't need my like kids around like fucking like, you know, guns. I think it's low IQ. It's like, why not raise your family in Brazil? Right? It's like, Mike, why don't you prefer to raise your family in Panama? Why don't you raise your family in Panama, in Nicaragua? Why not? Right? Kevin C, when would you choose to do a liver spleen scan? Never fucking seen it once, ever. Never once. Mustafa Muhammad, how long should 40 questions take me to complete if that's all I can do per day? 4 hours, 4 to 6 hours. Toby, thanks for being a member. How's everything going in Poland today, Toby? You saw that there was a live Q&A, came to give a like and say hello, doctor. Mike M, laughable. Mike M, are your questions on par with step one difficulty? My questions that I make in my YouTube MCQs are intentionally shorter than like the vast majority of USMLE questions, because I don't need. Some people say, "Oh, make your questions longer," so they're like the enemies. That's not the point. The point is to like teach you important info. Are like, seriously, guys, do you want to see a YouTube MCQ that's like 12 fucking lines that you're like sitting there trying to? It's like, no, you don't want that. The point is like, teach me the high yield factoid. That's kind of the point, right? I eliminate all the bullshit. I'm just to the point. Because you'll get a USMLE question, literally, like that's like 12 lines. And the whole point of the question is just like woman plus had a catheter in plus has dysuria, answer equals UTI. And like the USMLE question is like 12 fucking lines where you have to like sift through all this nonsense. And it's like some people say, well, I like the practice with that. Don't we have to practice that? You'll practice that when you do the NVMEs. For YouTube, I think it's better to just be like, this is the fucking point. So my questions, when you say they're on par with step one difficulty, I mean, they're easier in terms of like shorter questions are generally easier because the difficulty, quote unquote, is like trying to sift through bullshit and like, you know, you're like, I just read this paragraph and I have no idea what I just read. I have to read the whole thing again. I am Nate asks, I'm not going to address that question head on in this live stream. There's certain things I can answer. There's other things I just won't answer necessarily. But I could answer that easily. Right? AP Sans, I'm back and behind. I remember pizza being $10 and we tipped to LOL. I'm 33, by the way. As I said earlier in the live stream, pizza used to be $10 in New York when I was growing up. Cheese pizza delivered to your door, $9.99, plus you tip $2 to $3. Now it's like $20, $25, isn't it? Diana Tobar. Yes, about 1:30 p.m. here on Friday. I'm not Korean, just used to study the language and culture. I am Latina. Yeah, well, you have fucking Korean in your name. Oops, I was up. I apologize. I was a typo and I spelled your name earlier. Kaylee Scarnata. How to update or how up to date do you need to be with changing guidelines to do well on step 2? Having a hard time because on rotations, I'm getting more up to date info that gets me questions wrong. That's exactly correct. In that what you learn in a hospital is not necessarily what USMLE wants. That's correct. USMLE is not the same as what you might hear in a hospital. So you just have to. The answer is you have to do the clinical mastery series and all the NBME questions because that's going to teach you what's on the exam. And then I would just you're going to have to use Google for guidelines like cancer screening and endocarditis prophylaxis. And I mean, I have like stuff like that in my PDFs, but you have to double check against Google, you know, for the most updated like vaccine schedules and stuff. Ushtaganga, thank you so much for your advice. Ajay Arigala. Hey, Mike, my scores are 73, 70, 70, 69, 64 on NBMEs 21 through 25. Your scores are good. You're just going to continue reviewing the NBMEs. You're going to do my PDF still. But I want you to continue reviewing NBMEs. You're doing fine. Sportiac, I fail to understand the long statements of UWorld questions, ? Any tips to get better at them? I don't give a fuck about UWorld, bro. You like whatever your percentage is in UWorld. I mean, it's the NBMEs that matter ultimately. HUD, we need charted PDFs, please. Yeah, you said that. It's the third time you said that. Roby, 2013. Thanks. Manthal Patel. I just took my UWorld self-assessment. Step 1, got 45%, 168 score. I have 6 weeks, currently 73% through UWorld with 52%. When I took the assessment, I felt very unprepared. You're not ready. You need to postpone. So you're 73% through UWorld. So this is what's going to happen, Manthal. You're going to finish the rest of UWorld, which is going to take you maybe like 3 weeks. Then you're going to do NBME 20 and 21. If you can break 190, you can proceed through them. You're going to get your 3-digit score conversions by converting your number of wrongs from those forms into 3-digit scores using Google Images. Type in NBME 20 score conversion Reddit, NBME 21 score conversion Reddit. I want you to get 190 plus. But when you get to NBME 22 onward, you have to have a 197 plus equivalent. 197 is internal pass mark for step one. I ultimately want to see 205, 210 plus. Well, here's my point. You got a low score on UWSA 1, 45%, which was a 168. But I don't give a fuck about UWSA. I care about the NBMEs. So when you finish UWorld, because you have 27% remaining, when you finish UWorld in 3-ish weeks, you're going to do those NBMEs. And if you could pass the NBMEs, you're fine. I allow a mild or minor fail on 20 and 21. I allow you to get upwards of a 196 and still proceed to 22. But once you take NBMEs 22 onward, you have to pass the 197 or above. And by the time you get to NBMEs 27, 28, you have to get a 205, 210 plus because I want to see that buffer. So if your NBMEs are shitty, if they tend to mirror what your UWSA was, where you take NBME 20, for instance, and you get like a 45%, you tank it, you're not going to NBME 21. You're going to go back to, you're going to do all your UWorld incorrects for a month. Then you're going to redo 20 that you just fucking did. We're not going to care about your score because you've already done it. Then you're going to do NBME 21. Chances are you're going to have to postpone. That's what's going to happen right now. I'd say, yeah, you're probably going to end up having to postpone. George Horani, good to see you again. Hi, Mike. NBME 30, 69%, NBME 28, 68%. Taking NBME 31 tomorrow, exam in 5 days. Full send if NBME 31 is over 66%. I want to see a 205, 210 plus because the scale is not available. I would want to, you can use NBME 30 scale. So when you get your number of wrongs on NBME 31, George, you're going to plug that into Google Images, NBME 30 score conversion Reddit. You're going to get your score. If you don't get a 205 plus, I don't want you sitting. Now, here's the caveat. Okay, here's a potential like middle ground. If you take NBME 31 and you get between a 200 to a 204, I tell 200 to 204. I tell students it's a yellow light, meaning I don't sign off on it. I don't want you sitting. But if you decide you're going to do it anyway because it's a pass, right? We said 197 is pass. So I want to see 205, 210 plus as a buffer. But if you get a 200 to 204, it's a yellow light, meaning if you get a 203, it's you just have to be aware of the risks. So you would say, Mike did not sign off on it. I don't want you sitting. I want you postponing a month. You say, fuck that. I don't want to postpone a month. I'm going to sit anyway. If you fail, don't take up with me. It was a bad decision. If you pass, you can say, yeah, see, fuck you. I passed. You wanted me to postpone a month. I just saved a month. Right? It's because through my experience, it's infinitely worse for you to take a fail. So I err on the side of caution always. I'm very conservative in terms of like how I approach these exams. I don't like people YOLOing. I err on the side of caution when you have a borderline performance. Saint says, don't need kids around a place where you can't even go to McDonald's anymore without a fight or a shooting. Why would you go to McDonald's to begin with? Right? You only go to McDonald's if you're really fucking like, there's literally nothing open, you're starving, and you can get like a chicken sandwich, like, or something. You avoid the fucking like burgers there if you can help it. Yeah, it's like stuff's not good. Manhattan. Manthal Patel, the IM surge rotations were one of the firsts for me. You just like make these statements without actually asking questions. Like, what do you want me to say to that? Livia Coca. Content-wise, would you recommend starting your video audio cue bank from the end and go to the earlier cues, or does it not matter? It depends. I would say some people just follow the daily question. Some people go through the actual like playlist, right? But in terms of like, do you need to start from question one and work your way upward? You don't have to do that. Some of my older clips are like real fucking like bootleg, as I said. I'm in like a different apartment, different lighting. Um, just things were different. So I mean, the style is different in the earlier clips, but you can go through the playlist if you want to knock out a subject, like knock out like you suck at hematology or something. You want to do that? Do my heme PDF plus my heme playlist, and you're just going to do all the questions in the heme playlist. You can do that. It doesn't have to be like earlier or later. You just go through the playlist. You can go backwards. It doesn't matter. I don't care how you do it. Just go through it. Mike M. Why is my name weird? Haha. It's called I'm fucking Mike M. Right? I'm Mike Mehlman, and your name is Mike M. And you're asking me why your name is weird. Haha. PB. Thanks for all the free content. Are you a fan of Andrew Tate? Question mark. He has similar alpha energy. People ask me about Andrew Tate every day. What I've said, my answer has been that I don't think he should have been canceled. You don't have to like him. You don't have to agree. It's not relating to that. I just don't think he should have been canceled. And I've also said that the reason he's considered a big deal is because you have masculinity suppressed in society. It's canceled in society. Being an alpha is canceled in society. The only way you make it through as a male is to be beta as fuck. It shouldn't be a big deal. It's made a big deal because of like the prohibition, quote unquote, of like masculinity. It's suppressed. It's angrily suppressed. Right? It's considered repugnant. People are indignant of the notion of exerted masculinity. I've used this analogy before. It's like in the United States, right? The 18th, 21st Amendments for alcoholic prohibition. They made alcohol legal with the 18th Amendment. What happened? It was put on a pedestal. Alcohol was even bigger of a deal now. It's a huge fucking deal. Alcohol now. That way it's illegal. So the fact that you have this like prohibition on like masculinity, that like guys are like told they have to be fucking women. Guys, you want to know what type of guy is looked highly upon in society? You want to know? If the dude is a fucking chick and he like puts on his like, nursemaid bra and like raises the kids while the girl goes out, does her career, and like she's like, I'm gonna go to the gym and I'm gonna go make the income while you sit at home with the baby and nursemaid them with your fake bra. That would be like, good, you're doing your role, good. So as long as the dude is some like nursemaid chick, great, he's looked highly upon. Right? And then if you say, well, actually, I think the male should do the career stuff and the female should nursemaid like she's biologically fit to do, that's misogynist. That's like you're suggesting like genders should have like roles where the female who produces the kid and can breastfeed should actually do that. That's misogynist. That's like where we're at in society. And people wonder why Andrew Tate is put on a pedestal. If you make alcohol illegal, it's put on a pedestal. If you make masculinity illegal, it's all of a sudden a big deal. You say it's not illegal. Masculinity is illegal. It's viewed as illegal. It's canceled. It's like everyone gets angry. Everyone's triggered. Everyone's like off the rails just over opinions. You know, I mean, I have traditional views. People want to call me a misogynist. I fucking voted for Hillary. I donated to Hillary Clinton. I fucking donated to Hillary Clinton's campaign. People want to call me a misogynist. Now, this will trigger some people because they're like, Mike, just because you voted for her doesn't mean you're not what. I mean, no fucking misogynist gets into a voting booth and votes for Hillary Clinton. I can tell you that. You can say you have business interests or she gave a speech at your company. I don't even care. It's like when you walk into that voting booth, if you're a misogynist, you're voting for Trump. You're not voting for Hillary. That's what I find laughable. I don't know a single person who voted for Hillary, apart from like a couple family members. I don't know like any none of I don't know anyone who like voted for Hillary. I liked Hillary. What was wrong with Hillary? I thought she was highly qualified. You know, I think she was like the most qualified candidate we've ever had. Smart, smart as a fucking whip. Hillary Clinton, brilliant. Just, I mean, she was a straight fucking shooter. Best the country could have done. Instead, they're like, well, we're gonna. I mean, that's. Um, let's see. Can you're asking if you can DM me certain questions that you can't answer here? I'm Nate. Um, I don't really have time to answer questions. That's the problem. You say, well, you're fucking here answering questions. You're right, but I get like I don't like writing responses to like people's fucking DMs. But I do like paid Skype sessions for that stuff outside of medicine as well. Ahmed, do you think it was a good idea that USMLE made pass step one pass fail? I literally talked about this for like 30, 40 minutes in my last like stream. I've talked about this quite a bit. Right? I've said it's a bad idea that they did that. It was to give power back to the med school, back to med schools. That's what it was. Because you could sit before it was, but when step one was numerical, it was a gunner culture where people would happily accept getting average grades in their preclinical years, and then they would go off and study UWorld, QBank all day and get their 270 numerical on the step one. And so that was the gunner culture. It was like people would get on forums and be like, I'm bottom one third at this like shitty school, bad grades. I got a 274 on step one, just like sitting at home all day doing like QBank and stuff. And that was like, lauded. That was lionized because, that was the culture. So what it meant is that rather than people going to their, med professors' bullshit lectures covering slides that have nothing to do with USMLE, people realized they could get higher scores sitting in an apartment in Iceland. You get a higher score sitting in an apartment in Iceland, doing QBank 12 hours a day, never set foot in a med school, versus someone who's in the United States going to med school daily, physically, clicking into lecture with their clicker. They'll get lower grades, the person who's physically at med school. So people realize I can just sit at home, do UWorld all day. And then you've got these old white professors who are, they're butthurt. They're umbrageous that they're umbrageous. People aren't going to their lectures. They reminisce for the days for like the 1980s where, people used to go to lectures, because there was no internet. There was no like Blackboard internet, even portal through those schools' homepage. There was none of that either. It was like if you didn't go to like lecture in the year 2000 with the chalkboard, there was no like learning the material. You were fucked. So people reminisce for the days when like I had 300 people in my lecture. Now it's like 28 people in your lecture because like no one gives a fuck and they can sit at home and do UWorld. So it was a power play. It was selfish. It was a movement. It was disingenuous. It was meant to deliver power back to the med school, saying, if we make step one pass fail, that's going to make class rank more important. It was already important. But rather than step one numerical, step two numerical, class rank, it now became only step two CK class rank. So people are like, fuck, I only got one shot at the USMLE numerical rather than two to shine. So now I've got to like somehow do well in school. So now what happens? People go to lectures. And they're like, I have to do well in my first 2 years because class rank matters. And, I'm going to have to do that because step two isn't for a long time. It's not until clinicals. So it was a power play. It was about you got a committee of old white people who were butthurt that people weren't going to their lectures like back in the day, and then they were like, "Well, we're gonna, hopefully people will attend our lectures again." I literally think that's like all it came down to. They can justify. They had to be like, "How are we going to justify this?" Like they feigned excuses, like they feigned reasons for why it was supposedly better, right? They're just like, there used to be a focus. I think they literally said something to the effect of like, there used to be a focus of like the board exams focus is to like determine whether a student or doctor is qualified to practice in the United States. It was never meant to be like a quantitative distinguisher. That's kind of like how they like framed it. Like they just sort of ended it there. They're like, it wasn't meant to be like a quantitative distinguisher. It was meant to just like determine whether someone's capable of like practicing. That's it. But that's like a very like shallow explanation. It's like, you're right, because now that it's a quantitative distinguisher and that's becoming more salient of an importance, people realize that their time is better spent not going to your bullshit lectures and clicking in with their little clicker, and instead actually sitting at home in their apartment in Alaska or in fucking Sudan and just doing questions all day. And that's how you get a higher score. So it was a power play. I think it decreased the bar for entry into it decreased it made that selfish decision made entire future generations of doctors less qualified in my view. Because now people who pass with a step one, they're not going to know as much. Now that's subjective as well. That'll be debatable. People say, well, they don't know less bullshit. You're right. You're right. They know less bullshit, but they know just the high yield stuff. But you get people like not knowing like basic micro, like not knowing like basic stuff. Just they get their pass, cool. But like someone who gets like a 220 pass, which is good, 197 is like, that person was capable of like 260s and stuff. They would have known a lot more. You could make arguments as well saying, well, maybe they won't try as hard for step one, but now they'll try even harder for 2CK because 2CK is even more important. I don't agree with that necessarily, because people always tried hard for 2CK, even back in the day. It's not like you shortchanged 2CK. Like you obviously tried to ace step one when it was numerical, but like you didn't work less hard on 2CK. You still fucking busted your ass. And you're like, I still have to get a high score in 2CK because they both matter. You didn't study less for 2CK. And then you had 2CS that they abolished, which, I mean, COVID, okay. But they should bring that back. I took 2CS back in the day. I thought it was good having like an OSCE style exam. I think it's better than the English, stupid OET English exam they have. I don't really want to answer like more med questions right now. It's after 6 a.m. here. I want to go to the gym. U-turn. How many hours do you sleep? Some of your vids you say it's 3:30 a.m. LOL. 6 a.m. here. It's 6:05 a.m. on Saturday here. I'm gonna go to the gym after this. After this, I'm gonna have well, I had a protein shake before. I've had 2 today. I'll have like some protein chips. I've got protein chips that are 20 grams of protein and like no fat, no carbs. They taste like cardboard, but they've got a little bit of like salt flavor. They're like barbecue flavor. Like they're like a good snack. I'll have like some protein chips. I'll have some water. And I'll go to the gym after this. Laughable. I'm Nate. You said, hey, can you share some more of your sci-fi posts on IG? I wanted to. I talked about this. I ranted on this in the beginning of this live stream. I said that I posted sci-fi pics on IG and it got no engagement. It was like killing my IG. Right? I'd love to like post stuff like that. You say just be you, post what you want to post. Don't worry about engagement, right? Who cares if it gets a few likes? Who cares? Post it. I agree with you. But you know what happens? The algorithm doesn't like that. The algorithm interprets that as, whatever content this person's putting out is less valuable to its followers, to his or her followers, and we're going to show that content less now from here on out. That's what it interprets it as. So I don't have to care about if it gets shitty likes. I don't have to care personally. But then my engagement going forward is shittier because the algorithm says, oh, people don't like his stuff. We're going to show future posts to fewer people. And I already noticed that with I was putting out my live skating videos. And then like I did all these science posts that got like shitty engagement. People didn't like them. I liked them. I thought it was like I like sci-fi stuff. So I was putting out sci-fi posts. Got shitty engagement, and then I posted like another live skate video, and the organic reach on that was shittier. So it's like people wonder why like some of these platforms are toxic. It's because it rewards the toxic content. You put out content with like, have your shirt off, holding a pina colada or something. That's going to get like a lot of fucking likes, huh? You can say, I don't like that. That offends me. I'm going to unfollow. Great. Fucking unfollow. But it'll get more likes, get more comments, post some sci-fi stuff that interests me. 4 likes, 6 likes, no likes. And then people wonder why these platforms are toxic. Like you log in, or not log in, you just open your app and there's like all these like, the feed is like people with their shirts off and stuff. And it's like, I don't fucking search that shit. You think I fucking spend my time on Instagram looking, I don't do jack fucking shit. I don't follow anyone on my medical channel. I don't follow a single person on my medical Instagram. And it like shows me just like abs and fucking like people dancing. It's literally what I get, the toxic waste that I get in my fucking feed that I don't request. People are like, oh, it like matches what it thinks you want based on things you look at. I'm like, I don't fucking look at that stuff. When have I ever fucking like searched for like abs unless it somehow like knows because I have fucking like a couple ab pics up. Now it thinks I want to see that. That'd be a twisted fucking algorithm. But it's like that's the stuff that's rewarded. The algorithm's like these are the posts in the population across the fucking globe that got like 20,000 fucking likes in like X number of time period. That's what we're going to show more of globally now. That's the toxic waste, right? So it's like, would I put out more sci-fi pics? I would love to. It would be great. I'd love to put that shit out. It'd be great. For me, I don't care if it gets 7 likes. I don't care. But then like just I become like basically an echo chamber because it kills the engagement. The algorithm won't show my stuff to other people going forward. Let's see. A lot of med questions. Mustafa, I used to question who'd ever vote for right wing, then realized that it was the dudes who didn't want to be feminized in their own household / pussy whipped by their wives. I mean, it's a polarizing discussion. That's like one domain for sure. But when you get in a conversation of like left versus right, I mean, you alienate half the people. I said this before. You alienate half people. It's a long discussion, right? Could talk about a lot of stuff like that. People who are on the left, I mean, they view like all the feminism, or they don't view it as feminism. They just see like the way people on the left view like LGBT, like women's rights, all this stuff. They view it as like, what's wrong with more rights? Isn't that good? Shouldn't we have equal rights? I agree with that. Shouldn't we have equal rights? I have friends who are LGBT. Like I said, I'm straight, but I have friends who are LGBT. I have an uncle who's LGBT. Shouldn't women have equal rights? This isn't 1930. Shouldn't people have rights? Right? That's what people view on the left. They just say, what's wrong with that? And they view like the Republicans, they view people on the right as like discriminatory. That's how they view it. But then people on the right, they view it as like they view LGBT stuff as like an indoctrinate and this attempt at like an indoctrination. That's how they view it. They don't view it as like just mere rights. They view it as like, no, 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 no. The left's not interested in like mere rights and equality. The left is interested in pushing this agenda of indoctrination where it goes above and beyond just like equality. They really want to like um, make the country more like trans or make the country more in that direction, which is a culmination of feminism ultimately. Because if feminism is about like, you know, women take on more traditional male roles and males take on more traditional female roles, how is that process going to culminate? It's going to culminate where you get transing of the genders ultimately. And look, I'm not saying there's anything like, as I said, I'm supportive of all the rights, all this stuff. We're just talking about like, you know, this is how the right views things. People on the left view things as like, what's wrong with rights? Nothing wrong with rights. Something wrong with rights. Why wouldn't you support rights? You're evil if you don't support rights. You're evil. Why wouldn't you support rights? And like, who cares? Like, right? That's how people on the left view things. People on the right see it as like, no, no, no. They're trying to like, there's just a push of there's an agenda above and beyond where they're trying to force. They want to push like, you know, they want to change the genders over. They want to push women into power. That's how people on the right view things. You know, so very polarizing, right? Very polarizing. Um, I mean, I could go off about that even longer. That's so funny. I think you've almost convinced me to stop this fucking studying and have a ton of kids myself. I mean, I've said I'm not. I just don't. I that's me personally. Like, I have no interest. Like, if I meet a chick who's like, I have this, you know, PhD or whatever, I'm interested in like, you know, pursuing career. That I'm not interested in that, and it's okay to pursue that. You have to be careful with how you articulate things. You know, I've said this a million times. People be like, "That's misogynist" or something. It's like it's not misogynist. It's just saying like, you know, sometimes people find attractive different things, and so, you know, I prefer a chick who like prefers to have kids, not focus on career. That's how some people are. There's a lot of med questions here. I've been doing this for like 3 hours. If you're not subscribed to my channel, please subscribe. If you're not subscribed, you're an asshole. Um, Find me on Instagram. I'm not going to post sci-fi stuff though, as I said, because it killed my algorithm. So I'll do like an IG live after this. That's what I'm going to do. I said I'm going to have some protein chips. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to have some protein chips, have some water. I'm going to chill. I'm literally going to watch maybe a little bit of like golf, as ridiculous as it's. I said I cycle through sports. I was watching like, you know, basketball earlier this year. I'm watching like golf right now. Going to football later. I'll probably watch a little bit some sports for like quick, you know, have like a bag of protein chips. And then go to the gym. That's what I'm gonna do. It's 6:16 a.m. here. Then I've got chicken and salad in the fridge before I get back from the gym. Like two small salads with like vegetables and a bigger salad, just leaves, no dressing, and then just chicken. Right? Hassan, what's the best resource for immunology? My high yield immuno PDF. It's what you want to do. Right? Guys, I've been doing this almost 3 hours. I'm gonna do more live streams. All right. So I'll see you guys later, right? See you guys.